It's a real thing of beauty, isn't it? This luge-specific track in Oberhof in the Thuringian Forest in Germany. Just glorious surroundings for our 6th World Cup race of the season. The 57th European Championship as well, which is a race within a race. Sure, that's coffee. Everyone's enjoying themselves anyway. He's here, don't stand next to him. 57th European Championship, but we build towards the Olympic Games, of course, coming up in Milan Cortina in a matter of a couple of weeks now, and still things to be decided, notably with the Austrian team this weekend, but all sorts still to be sorted out. A sense of fanfare. World Luge Day is tomorrow, but we can still celebrate a special single Saturday. Jonas Müller, one of the favourites for Olympic gold. He's second in the overall World Cup list at the moment to Felix Loch. I'm delighted to say that the two-time Olympian Mark Hatton is alongside me. There's Svante Gahala, who's still pushing for a place in the Olympic Games. And Mark, such a sense of expectation around this very special place. Well, we shall try and get hold of Mark down the line. We're going to wait for Alex Falazzo to get us underway here in Oberhof as we see them going through their final stretch routines. The overall standings are worth looking at right now because Felix Loch, the evergreen Felix Loch, leads the way a point clear of Jonas Müller. Max Langenhan is third. Nico Gleicher is in fourth. Wolfi Kindl in fifth. Christos Apiods, the Latvian, in sixth. And David Gleicher in seventh at the moment. And we understand there is real intrigue in this Austrian team. Jonas Müller is certainly Olympic Games bound. And as for the rest, we understand it is pretty much a slide off for the other two places in the team. Svante Gahala can make the Olympics. They have the quota place for him. It's whether the Swedish Olympic Association believe he's capable of top 12. There's Alex Falazzo, who's going to get things underway shortly. And plenty of focus all around the place. Andre Manzi, by the way, there's Johnny Gustafsson continuing his warm-up here. Andre Manzi won the Nations Cup. As Latvian athletes, Gintz Berzins getting ready. They'll believe they have outside chances of certainly an Olympic podium. The gold, well, you'd look at Müller, wouldn't you? You'd look at Loch, you'd look at Langenhan. But we've had shock Olympic gold medals before. We had David Gleicher in Pyeongchang. Anything can truly happen. They're checking ice temperature there, and we do have news in that regard. Because this must be the only sport, certainly a rare sport, in that good weather affects the competition. The sunshades have been closed at the full curves 4 and 6, the half curve 8, the full curves 11 and 13, and the second half of the Kreisel. And right now, that's what they've been forced to do to try and maintain the temperature of that ice. There is that finishing Kreisel.
It's been a warm week here in Oberhof. Such a warm week, and they've had real problems with the ice conditions. But they, again, as always, the track crew have done a wonderful, wonderful job this week.
Well, that was, I think, the voice of Mark Hatton. Two-time Olympian who is with us here. And we're going to take a look at Oberhof. The track length, 1354. Maximum speed is quite low here. Something of a cruising track, 14 corners, and it favors those with exceptional technical ability. There's the start. And this is what lies in front of them. So many challenges. The signature sequence turns 8 to 11. That S combination, you've got to go in there fairly flawlessly. And then that finishing Kreisel, that Ziel curver can catch you out. Now our POV, and Mark will take you through this.
So this is the view from the men's start. This, as Dave said earlier, is a luge-specific track. The curves are higher. The sleds go higher in the curves. Go through 5, and then we've got this long line into 6. You'll see the sleds go really high in this curve, and then 7 to 8. And this is where the labyrinth begins. This is where you have to be on time, drive hard from 10 into 11. Very tricky curve for the athletes, so go right up to the roof. And then another curve where they go incredibly high out onto this straightaway. This is where aerodynamics and position helps. Want to get really early on the right-hand wall into Kreisel. And just like in Sigulda the other week, the Kreisel fires you across the finish line. And the ice temperatures, it's 5.4 degrees, so that is pretty warm. We had wonderful wintry weather in Winterberg last week, and we're back to a little bit more autumn at the beginning of the year. What that means is we have to make sure that the track will last from the first athlete all the way to the last athletes. Start numbers could be absolutely critical.
So here's the start list for the men's singles. The first run, Alex Palazzo will lead us off. It was Andre Manzi who won the Nations Cup, and he gets that privileged 5th position. Then we go right through the big names, and we understand there is an Austrian slide-off not involving Jonas Müller. He is definitely going, but pressure here on the likes of the Gleichers and Wolfi Kindl as well. Dylan Morse goes for GB as well, with the Italians not here, Chinese athletes not here either. Everyone, you sense, building towards Milan Cortina. Great atmosphere. See the Gleicher supporters there in the background. Could be a big weekend for them. And as I mentioned, the 6th World Cup race of the season. And they have the race within a race. Feels almost like it's forgotten this weekend, but the 57th European Championship, and that is what it says it is, i.e. this guy can't win it. So you take away the results of the non-European athletes and leave those to make up the rest of the places. So Alex Palazzo, who will be Milan Cortina bound, 14th here in Oberhof last January, 16th in Winterberg last week, our second meet there. And a very healthy 15th on that Olympic qualifying list. He's had a good season so far. There are those sunshades that I mentioned, just making sure, or trying to make sure, this ice mark stays as cool as possible.
Yeah, it's looking shiny right now, which means it's fast. That's a perfect example of how high the sleds go in the curve. There's another one. The sleds have to get really high because the curves are so tight. They have to get up in those curves and then, more importantly, get out into the next curve. Palazzo putting together a useful labyrinth, and that's that critical little bump into 12.
So the bump into 12, and we head for that finishing Kreisel. Palazzo, 43.087, of course, affiliated with that USA team, hence the joy. And we'll find out, as we always do, how good that time is as the story develops. If you are new to the wonderful world of luge, they had the Nations Cup yesterday, which is your chance to qualify for the main race, which is a touch easier this weekend without the Italians here and without the athletes from China as well to an extent. But what that means is Manzi won the Nations Cup. He gets the 5th starting place, which is ahead of the seeded athletes. Palazzo was 5th in the Nations Cup, so he goes first. So they go 5-1 reverse order. Then we have the seeded athletes down to Nico Gleischer, and then it will be Pavel Repelov, who was 6th in that Nations Cup, and so on and so forth. Anton Dukac now from Ukraine. They have 2 places on that Olympic qualifying list. He would go as their number 1, 16th in the main race at Sigulda, then 18th in Winterberg, and 4th here in the Nations Cup, which gets him this starting position of 2. And as we always know, when that ice is getting a little bit warmer, the weather is warm here in Oberhof, and despite the sunshades, it will get warmer. These early start times can be absolutely priceless, Mark.
They really can, and this is one of the benefits of qualifying from Nations Cup, especially when you get these autumn conditions. It makes such a difference. This is that line into 10, another very spectacular high curve, and a much better line to 12 from Dukac, and it's showing on the clock.
Absolutely has that advantage of just under 100th here. Good run this from Dukac. There's that awkwardness in the finishing Kreisel, but doesn't affect him, and in fact he's got an advantage of over 1/10 of a second. Really good run that from Anton Dukac, the number 1 Ukrainian.
It really was. He looks smooth. He's had such a good season this year, Dukac, hasn't he? I mean, he just looks really confident, sliding well. In fact, the whole Ukrainian team are. This is a shot of the start. It's a very short start ramp, so 3 paddles at most, and then you have to get into the sled so quickly. That's that shot just before 12, just going a little early. But you saw how he used his body to just soak up the bump, and ended up with a very, very nice time.
Here's Svante Kahala then, and certainly an interesting weekend for him in terms of those Olympic Games. 24th on the Olympic qualifying list, and that's final, the list. So Sweden have that quota place. It's whether or not he takes it. Last December in Oberhof, there were 2 meetings last year, as there are this week and next. He was 13th, last January 11th, so good form at the track. And without Italy here, you would expect Kahala maybe to push for a place in the top 10. We'll see. He's in those green figures at the moment, Kahala, and he's going well at the top of the track.
This really is Svante's shot. He's got such good pedigree here in Oberhof. Swedish athletes always quick in Oberhof. For some mysterious reason, it's a track that really suits them. Svante going into 12 there. Again, another example of how high they're going in those curves and how exact they have to be with their exit. Little correction on the straightaway.
Looks a decent line though from Kahala, and he does take the lead. A little punch of the air, just under 200ths of a second for Svante. So a good run, because Dukac we felt was quick. So Svante punches the air. He knows how much that could mean, because it might set him up for the second run later on today.
Just like last year, he looks really comfortable on this track. Look at that's the line into from 10 to 11. Now that's a brave line. You have to kind of hang up in the back of in the end of that curve, and you saw him just drop him out a little sideways. Kept his nerve, and it turned out really, really well for him. This shot into Kreisel as well. You see he's looking relaxed. Run number 2, looking to be a scorcher for Svante Kahala.
Relatively, it's a scorcher of a day as well in terms of the weather. Matthias Sokovic, he was top 20 in both Oberhof races last season. He's 26 on that Olympic list. The line drawn under that, Poland's number 1, Sokovic. Arkadiusz Trojga, also in the lineup today, going last after scraping through in the Nations Cup. So Sokovic still with a good draw here. Can he get ahead of Kahala? How good was Kahala's time? Sokovic already under it by nearly 100th of a second. A good bright start from the Polish slider here.
It is so important to be smooth in these top curves. You see him almost up to the roof in curve 6, but just keeps his calm. This is that tricky labyrinth It comes so fast and the curves are so short. And then 11 to 12, starting to stretch out, looking comfortable.
Yeah, Sokovic looking at this split just under 8 thousandths of a second. Sokovic with the advantage over Kahala. This is going to be mighty close, and he does it. He accelerated through that Kreisel. Really good from Sokovic right at the bottom of the track, and he moves in front in this early battle of the Nations Cup qualifiers. And a punch of the air from him as well. They're all fired up with the Olympics on the horizon. And remember as well, with Italy not here, you know, the potential of a European Championship medal.
Well, this is the story within the story. The European Championships, the under-23 European Championships as well, being awarded today. See Sokovic just bumping on there. But again, in Oberhof, it's so important. The curves are so big, so tall, that if you do bump onto a curve maybe and you're not on the perfect line, you just have to relax and find your exit. So important. Look at the confidence with which he slid down that straightaway.
That's right. Andre Manzi, who I hate to break it to him, will not be involved in those under-23 European Championships by some distance. But he won the Nations Cup here, a second Nations Cup win of the season for him. Manzi now, a track that suits superior technical sliders. Andre Manzi should fit neatly into that, but it's a slightly sluggish start from him, a mistake up at the top, and he's already outside of the time of Sokovic here.
Yeah, this is definitely a track that does suit sliders like Andre Manzi. See, soft in the shoulders, just rolling with the curves. So important on this track. If you go in stiff as a board, the curves are so short, the sled just digs into the ice. So as you see him just soft on the sled, down the straightaway into Kreisel.
Yeah, he still made up a little bit of time, but into Kreisel he'll have to fly, and he lost control, and he's third. And in fact, after that start, he did make up some time down at the bottom, just under 400ths, a little bit ragged at the bottom. I don't think that cost him too much time. The time came up at the top of the course.
Yeah, it looked like he possibly went a little late into the start curve. And as we've seen all season, the time you lose on the start is so critical because it multiplies down the track. You see the latest start on the right-hand side. That's where we'll be going from in the next race in the women's singles, and see him go high in curve 6. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you do have to keep your calm and you do have to move fast and think fast.
And when you go a touch airborne over the line, even in a sport of thousands, it doesn't really cost you. Big smile from Andre. Now we head into the seeded athletes. Timon Grancagnolo, many cynics would feel this course doesn't really suit him because he's got this thudding modern style, very big, strong man, not too much subtle or nuanced about him, and he's already outside the time of Sokovic, which looks good. He was, however, top 10 twice last season here, Timon Grancagnolo, so let's see what he can achieve, but he might try and bully his way through those S-curves.
Yeah, Grancagnolo with a solid start, just bumping through the labyrinth, but he manages to carry his speed through there, and he's building on it almost a tenth to the good at that checkpoint, and good onto the straightaway, and that's a perfect shot of how important it is to get so early into the Kreisel.
That's an outstanding run from Grancagnolo, really is, wow. Over 2 tenths, and the trumpeters like that. Grancagnolo from Saxony, our new leader by some distance.
Strong, strong man, strong shoulders, big starts. But again, the subtleties of position, so important in these curves. You see him there, just stretching out in the curve. This is that transition into curve 10. See, he went about as early as it's possible to go there, bumped on, but it actually helped his line because it kind of turned the sled for him. Solid run from Grancagnolo.
Grancagnolo, 11th on the Olympic qualifying list. He is behind David Nursler by 9 points. Now that is frozen, that can't change, but they have 3 quota places. Surely Locke and Langenham the first 2. Will it be Nursler? Will it be Gran Cagnolo? They could change their mind. They could put Gran Cagnolo ahead of Nursler. It's still possible. Anyway, here goes Gintz Berzins. 8th on that Olympic qualifying list. He surely does go as Latvia's number 2, and he's in the green numbers up at the top of the course. It's a good run so far, this from Gintz Berzins.
Yeah, into 7. Just had to do a little correction, but the top section was really good from Berzins. So important on this track. That section of track up to 7, and then 12 to 13 as well. Putting together a great run here, Berzins.
Just outside the time of Gran Cagnolo. He's going to have to be quick through the Kreisel, though, Berzins. Here he comes! Stays outside. Gran Cagnolo was very, very quick. Berzins just 600ths outside him, so Gran Cagnolo still leads the way.
Well, it was a really smooth top section from Gintz Berzins. A couple of little errors down the bottom that possibly cost him those 600ths of a second behind Gran Cagnolo. Shot down the start ramp there. You see how quickly they have to get into their sled. They're almost settling in the curve. And then this is that line into 10, from 10 to 11, where you see him kind of fall out sideways. It's not ideal, but if you allow your body to soak up the shock when you hit the curve, it doesn't cost you too much.
Johnny Gustafsson, the USA number 1. 9th in Winterberg last week, 9th on that Olympic qualifying list. 5th in Park City, 8th in Lake Placid, a good USA stretch. And now he goes here in Oberhof. How can Johnny do on this technical track? What's the start like in comparison here to Gran Cagnolo? Just outside, only the 7th fastest we've seen. And now Gustafsson has to stay quiet on this sled.
That's perfect analogy. It's so important to be quiet on the sled through these top curves. Subtle movements, but then knowing when to really take action. Little late and then just falling out through the labyrinth. Johnny Gustafsson's got to get back under control, and he does, into 12.
And here he comes, Gustafsson, still in those red figures. That little error, I think, just has cost him. Can he go quick down to the bottom? Out of the sunshade he comes. No, he's 8th.
Hey, we love you, Johnny. We love you so much.
Terrifying mask. Not his best, Gustafsson. Be disappointed with that.
Yeah, the track already starting to look a little milky, the shine leaving the ice. The track possibly slowing down as well. You see those white track marks starting to show through, and that's where the mistake happened. Into 10, just falling out. It's an expensive mistake in that labyrinth. It's a real opportunity for the athletes to gain speed through there, and any mistake is punished dearly at the finish time.
Yeah, waiting for Mark to use the word milky, and it came after run number 8. That means the ice just getting that little bit slower makes it harder. So how good will Gran Cagnolo's time look in about 15 minutes, I wonder? It might look very good. David Gleicher now, part of this Austrian slide-off for a place in the Olympic Games. Nothing official about that, but that's what we understand. Aside from Müller, they're sliding off for the other 2 places, and Gleicher already inside the time of Gran Cagnolo, up at the top of the track. Can he maintain through to our second checkpoint? He can. This is good so far from Gleicher.
It really is. Real pressure on the Austrian athletes today. It is, as you say, a fascinating subplot to this European Championships inside a World Cup. Just skidding into 12, gets it back under control. What's that going to cost him at the next checkpoint?
The answer is nothing. He's still inside, but will it cost him down here? Gleicher around the Kreisel to take the lead. That's very good from Gleicher. Nearly 900ths inside Gran Cagnolo. He was the highest placed athlete on the Olympic qualifying list to not be in the quota places. 7th on that list. Can he force his way into that in this Austrian slide-off. He started well.
Big, powerful athlete. Great shot on the start there. Again, shows how quick you have to get into your sled. And that's that skid from 11 to 12. Not where you want to be, but Gleicher keeping his calm, pressing back the shoulders and stopping the skid before it escalated into a bigger mistake.
And when you are a former Olympic champion, I wonder, does that just play into it? Does that make them take you? We'll see. Kaspers Rinks, 17th on the Olympic qualification list, does not go to the games, surely. Crashed out in Park City, which didn't help. 24th in Lake Placid last December in Oberhof, 21st, and top 15 in January. 14th last week in Wintersport. Rinks is having a disappointing season to this point. Can he at least get inside Gleicher here? Well, the answer is clear for you to see. He's nearly 1.5 tenths outside the time of Gleicher at this point.
Yeah, Rinks really struggling this season. A very, very accomplished slider. He's had some fabulous years gone by, but this has been a tough season for the Latvian. Good correction. And into the Kreisel, stretching out.
Yeah, Rinks into third, goes ahead of his countryman Berzins. It's a good slide that from Kaspers Rinks, good recovery at the bottom of the track. Tell you what, things are about to get very, very interesting because David Nursler will go next. Remember, just inside Gran Cagnolo by 7 points on that Olympic qualifying list. He could do with finishing above Gran Cagnolo here. Remember, David Gleicher leads, Gran Cagnolo currently second.
Subplots within subplots in almost all of the major teams. Remember, those Olympic qualification places go to the nation, not to the athletes. So they can choose to send who they think will perform the best on the day through various means, whether a race-off or through the dark arts of selection.
Nursler to go then. You'd have to feel if he finishes ahead of Gran Cagnolo here, that would be enough, because he's ahead of him on the list, albeit by fine margins, and then ahead again, that you feel would do it, but you never know. The moment he's outside Gleicher doesn't necessarily mean he's outside Gran Cagnolo, remember. Where is Nursler? Just over 200 outside David Gleicher. He would ideally like to be second or better after this first run.
Well, it's a good-looking run from Nursler right up until that choppy labyrinth. Gets it back together, though. 12 smooth. And then 13, this critical Kreisel exit. Just out onto the straightaway, into the Kreisel. This Kreisel wants to throw you into the left wall. Nursler manages to stop that into third. Solid run from David Nursler.
Might be solid, but he's outside Gran Cagnolo. And if that is the mini battle, it's first blood to Gran Cagnolo ahead of the second run. The mighty Müller to go next, so pressure on both Nursler and Gran Cagnolo. I guess they might have already made their mind up, but we don't know. We don't know. And surely, if they haven't made their minds up, today's going to have a bearing. Nursler behind Gran Cagnolo right now.
That was that choppy line through the labyrinth. And then this is where it's so critical to stick the landing. Out of 13, you see him just nudge the right-hand wall. And that also makes for a tricky Kreisel. So important to go in parallel on that right-hand wall into curve 14.
Jonas Müller, the big Austrian star, he is not part of this Austrian slide-off. He is going to the Olympic Games, and he will go there surely as favourite. Müller at the moment, in terms of the overall World Cup picture, is 1 point behind the leader, Felix Loch. He's having a fabulous season. Won last week in Wintersport, already in green numbers at the top of the track that should really suit him, Müller.
Yeah, a start record for Jonas Müller, looks like. Probably not track record ice today. That just shows what great form This athlete is going into the games, this final 2 World Cups towards the games, looking great here. 2/10 to the good.
Well inside Müller. Great runs here at Oberhof last year. 1 in December, 5th in January. Track record from Müller in far from optimum conditions. And look at that, nearly 3/10 on the field. He is heading to Milan Cortina, surely as the big favourite.
Well, when you're in form, you're in form. Incredible from the big, strong Austrian. Huge start. Started as he meant to go on with the start record. And as you say, Dave, in less than optimal conditions, +6 air temperature, a few sleds down the order, and still manages to put out a decisive track record.
Close to perfection. Perfection impossible, of course, in this sport. But Müller loved it. Loved it. Now then, that was important. This feels mega important because this Austrian slide-off continues. Remember, it's not really Müller that matters for Wolfi Kindl, it's David Gleicher in second, and it's Nico Gleicher who comes after him. Kindl already in the red. I suspect everyone is going to be in red numbers in comparison to Müller. He's over a 10th outside the time of Müller, though, so not the best top of the track from Kindl.
Yeah, this is a mountain for Kindl to climb. We know with Wolfgang Kindl, he carries speed so well in the bottom of the tracks. Seems to have stabilized the loss, but he's still back by 0.2 of a second. But it's a great shot into Kreisel.
At the moment, he's inside the time of Gleicher. Let's see if he can hang on to that. He can't, just outside David Gleicher. So, Austria 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Kindl second in that slide-off. Doesn't matter that he's over 3/10 outside Müller. Forget Müller. He has raced away here, but he's just outside David Gleicher with Nico Gleicher still to come.
Well, the gloves are absolutely off in this Austrian race-off. This is going to make run 2 even more of an incredible proposition. See Wolfi Kindl just rolling a little early onto 12, but that's where the experience matters. Big hit out of the Kreisel, but again, doesn't cost too much at the bottom of the track.
Big smile from Wolfi, who, by the way, with that Olympic qualifying list frozen last week, was 6th on it, the Austrian number 3. He didn't finish in Sigulda. Remember, he made that mistake. It's up to you whether you think it's fair there's a slide-off here. Apiyots to go for Latvia. 6th last December in Oberhof. 8th last January. If anyone can challenge that time of Jonas Müller, well, you'd feel they're going to finish 1st or 2nd here, because it was a remarkable start record, then track record from Müller. Apiyots already just over 300ths outside, and that goes down as a fast start from Apiyots here.
Indeed, when we're looking at start records, it's a big start, not too much loss off that start, just 500ths back as we approach the labyrinth. Now this labyrinth comes so fast, those 2 curves, you have to move so quickly on the sled. Solid run, losing just a touch of time, but into 13, looking good.
Yeah, looking really good still, just under 900. Apiyots is surely sliding into 2nd place here. He's going to break up the Austrians. He is. That is outstanding from Apiyots, because he's still over a 10th quicker, nearly 2/10 quicker than anyone else. And Apiyots, again, in these conditions, has absolutely flown down the track here.
Started as he meant to go on, just as Jonas Müller did. It was a big start from the big Latvian. Some great lines, especially through the bottom of the track. That wonderful shot into 13. And this is where, if you can just drop out without having to make a correction, you can lie back and get the perfect line into the Kreisel.
The World Cup leader by 1 point, Felix Loch. 5th in Oberhof last December, 2nd in January. It's going to be so interesting to see how he goes here. Let's see if he can challenge that Müller start time here, Felix Loch. He's just outside it by just under 200ths of a second, but that's a really good start here from Locke, and we know how technically brilliant he is. Can he pick up time? He's over 300ths outside Locke, but he's going well here at the moment, Mark.
He really is, and Felix Locke with plenty of credit in the bank on this track, very high in the exit of 10. Works out really well for him though, into 12. Locke looking good here. It's a big time to catch of Jonas Mueller. He's doing all he can into the Kreisel.
At the moment into the Kreisel, he's ahead of Appy odds. Has he held on to second? He has. He has an outstanding run that on any other day might have had him leading. The World Cup leader goes into second here. Locke in second, only Langenhan and Gleicher of the seeded athletes to come. So it looks like familiar faces challenging here in Oberhof.
Powerful athlete, Felix Locke, long arms, big reach, built like a rower. He just grabs the ice, pulls the sled forward. It's a good run from Locke. This was that shot into 12. Really, really good lines down the bottom of the track. And as we know, Felix Locke has had some amazing results here in the past. And as you say, on any other day, that's a World Cup winning run.
May yet be in the second run. Müller can make mistakes. Langenhan to go next. He won last January in Oberhof. He's been king of the World Cup the last couple of seasons. Does he go into the Olympics in the form that he would like? Because this season he has been rock steady without sparkling. Been on 4 of 5 podiums without standing on top. Langenhan trying to get inside the time of Jonas Müller here at the top of the track, and he's 4th fastest in terms of his start.
Langenhan won last time here by a huge margin, almost a quarter of a second last year. And it looked like early in the season, just a little skid there from Langenhan from 7 to 8. Looked like he was slightly going off the boil, but you just feel that he's coming back into form as the Olympic comes around. But he's got a lot of ground to make up.
He's got ground to make up here, all right. He's 2/10 outside the time of Müller, which should be good enough for top 4, but no better than that. And that really is where Langenhan's been all season long. You would right now bet your house on him finishing top 5 in those Olympic Games, but whether or not he could win the gold medal, we'll have to wait and see. That feels like a run that almost sums up Max Langenhan right now.
It really does. It's been a tough season by his incredibly high standards. He seemed unbeatable last year, and this year there's just a few chinks in the armor. See him just go a little early to 10 there. Again, soaks it up, and a great line from 10 to 11. So important to get early into 11 from 10, get that height, and then dive out with a good line to 12.
I think the next slider might be the key slider, almost of the story of today, because it's Nico Gleicher. His brother is 5th. The other big rival, Kindle, is 6th. Forget Müller, he's not in this slide-off. Kindle is just over 3/10 outside Müller, so we're looking for that time for Gleicher to be under 0.304. That's a bad start from Gleicher as well, not his best so far. Let's see this second checkpoint, over a 10th outside. He has work to do here, Nico Gleicher.
He really does. Stretching out through the top, you can see the Austrians all sliding so aggressively. They know they're very much in the last chance saloon, just falling off 11 to 12. Keeps it together though. This is where that straight shot's so important. He's got it.
He's losing time though, Gleicher, all the way down the track. Where is he going to be in relation to Kindle? He's outside him. He's outside him, and if this is an Austrian slide-off, all of the pressure is on Nico Gleicher going in to that second run. And you really couldn't script this, because right now, Jonas Müller leads. The other 3 Austrians right now, as we finish our seeded athletes, are 5th, 6th, and 7th. 2 of them will go to the Olympic Games. 1 is going to be disappointed. It will be on that second run. Right now, I feel like giving the win to Müller and worrying about 5, 6, and 7.
Such incredible depth in the Austrian program. You saw that big mistake, getting thrown up high in the exit of 10 and falling out sideways into 11. Obviously a slider of Gleicher's caliber, able to soak it up, but the time matters so much.
So, Pavel Repelov, the neutral athlete, 6th in the Nations Cup, earns him a half-decent start time, 30th on those Olympic qualifying lists, and he's very much got the asterisk of goes to the games subject to further requirements.
Just a little skid from 7 to 8 there from Repelov. Again, these neutral athletes haven't been to these tracks over the last few years, so they're learning, again, relearning tracks on the job. It's a tough run from Repelov, and he's quite a way back there.
His teammate Perez Doronin goes next. He's 18th here, Repelov, the slowest we've seen so far. Crowd starting to gather. World Luge Day tomorrow. I would imagine Mark must be wearing a special cap and t-shirt for that, no doubt.
I will be, absolutely. I'll be getting my sled out and finding some snow somewhere. Reliving my youth.
A day when it's okay wherever you are in the world to slide.
Exactly. So Repelov, you see here, just falling off. And that's the line into 12. That's a scary place to be, hitting that right wall before 12. So it was so important for him to soak up the hit on the right-hand wall. And definitely Repelov looking to try and make that top 20, but it may be a tough job.
Perez Doronin to go next. A friend of mine asked me this week, I was talking about the Olympic Games, whether or not, and I quote them, to prepare yourself for the commentary if you had a go. My response is not broadcastable, but the phrase, "Are you joking?" was in there. Perez Doronin then, I doubt will threaten the time of Müller. And it's not a bad start, actually, from the second neutral athlete, 8th fastest that we've seen so far today.
Yeah, definitely looking like an improvement on his teammate, Perez Doronin. Just going into 8. Again, we talk about curves setting the tone. 8 sets the tone for the labyrinth all the way through to 11, because those curves come so fast.
So they come fast for Perez Doronin, who goes into the Kreisel under the sunshade and bounces off that left-hand wall and finishes 16th. Remember, top 20 go through to the second run here. That gives Perez Doronin a chance here, but still some useful names to come.
It was a good start from Perez Doronin. He's a powerful athlete. This is that line from 10 to 11. See another athlete just getting height on the exit. You need a little bit to cross over, but when you've got that much, the sled kind of falls out sideways. That just shows how high they go in these curves here in Oberhof. It is a real luge track.
So a smile from Perez Doronin. Up next, the ever-popular Valentin Cretu. 19th in Winterberg last week. Romanian #1, who was 25th on that Olympic qualifying list. So Cretu with a trip to look forward to Milan Cortina. Remember, there will be 25 going in both men's and women's singles, so it is a fairly brutal qualifying system.
Yeah, the qualifying numbers have dropped from the last game. You saw that big skid there, almost off the sled in 10. Gets it back together for 11. That was incredible survival skills from Cretu. That will have done for his finish time, but he's still on the sled.
Yeah, just under a second outside Müller. He finishes well here. No, I was going to say he could still get inside Repelov, but no. Cretu, 20th, as you can see. I don't think that top 5 is going to be disturbed. As I said, there is much drama, 5, 6 and 7 with those Austrian athletes right now. But we're talking really about minor places here and a chance to qualify for the second run.
That's where the skid started. And here we see him high on 9, just falling out and throws him up so high into 10. And at that point, you're just trying to stay in contact with your sled and get the best line you can out of 11. The good thing about 11, it's quite a big curve, so you have some time to fix that mistake.
Next up, the veteran Josef Ninis. Here goes Ninis. Top 20 will be his aim. Disqualified in Oberhof last December, then 13th, a good finish in January, DQ'd in Winterberg last week as well in that post-run check for Josef Ninis. So hopefully for him, everything in order. But at the moment, he's well over 3/10 outside the time of Müller here.
Ninis back, looking to make that top 20. It's a good line through there into 12. Ninis putting together a good run here. Back by half a second at that checkpoint, 6/10 there.
The moment he's heading for top 18, top 17, something like that, 18th indeed for Ninis. Still 9 athletes to go here. Always that sense of after the Lord Mayor's show, because we know really the top places won't be effective as the ice continues to slow, but these are very important individual battles for these athletes as they try and get as high as possible up this list. And who knows, place in the Winter Games may yet be at stake for some of these athletes lower down as they try and prove they can make an impact in Milan Cortina. A reminder, the country gets the quota, they then decide who fills it, and they decide if they fill it, more pertinently for some of these athletes lower down. So just because your country has 2 places doesn't mean they take them up. Matt Greiner, right now, qualifying list 19th, goes to the games as the 3rd USA sled. The USA's internal qualifying system is, I think it's fair to describe it as quite hard for us to understand. Greiner, 22nd fastest start. That's not a criticism, by the way, it's just a fact.
Yeah, it's been huge competition, this American team. Greiner getting the nod from the USA selectors to become an Olympian for the first time next month. Looking good through here. And Tucker West, unfortunately, missing out this year. An athlete with proven potential to reach the podium, but Greiner having a great breakout season in the seniors.
Well, here goes Greiner, 20th for him, and I'm not sure that's going to get him into the second run. Only one would have to go quicker than him.
He's had a great year in the juniors, was a regular podium finisher. It's always a good sign of future success in 4 to 8 years' time. He's a very relaxed slider again. Works well from the back of the sled with the shoulders. This is that shot onto the straightaway, just drifting, but keeps his cool, and you see him just gently nudging it over to the right-hand side of the track to get that early entrance into the finish curve.
Rasmus Moberg goes next. Low down on that Olympic qualifying list, a chance to maybe try and prove a point here, something like that. You would expect him to struggle to land a glove here on the top 20, let alone Müller, of course, with that fabulous time. It's strange, isn't it, how Müller setting these unbelievable times makes everyone else look bad. Everyone else has been in the red all the way down, but there's no shame in that.
Absolutely not. Rasmus Moberg, such a great prospect for the future of Swedish sliding. I just have such great memories of him in Asia last year when he pulled the fastest start. But he's over, he's on his side.
But he's done really well to pick himself up, Moberg. It's going to cost him, of course, an awful lot of time. 23rd, he's nowhere near, but credit at least for righting that wrong.
Having to really work to keep the sled on the steels. See how disappointed he was. He was putting together a really nice run up until that point. So Moberg, there's so much potentially, such an athletic slider. Big starter, aggressive starter. But that mistake out of 13, so difficult to come back from. See him just getting nudged late into 12. That didn't seem to do too much damage. And then late into 13, having to take some evasive action, coming up on the exit, and just goes over. And using all that body weight to try and force the sled back onto the steels, fighting the whole way.
7 sleds to go. It's worth reminding you how we stand as we wait for Eddie Creation to get himself underway. The teammate of Cretu, 26th and 27th in Oberhof last season. Creation, Jonas Müller with that track record leads the way from Felix Lock, Christa Zapiodz, Langenhan and David Gleicher, who then begins the slide-off for Austria. Gleicher leading Kindle, leading his brother Nico. It's going to be unbelievable drama in this second run, but this is Creation with a bump there. He did well to keep himself on track.
Yeah, big mistake from 9 to 10 from Eddie Creation, using all his street smarts to keep the sled going where he needed it to be. It's a good Kreisel though from Creation.
Well, it takes him to 23rd. He won't be with us in the second run, and Matt Greiner still hangs on to 20th. And if you want to follow these splits, Greiner is just under a second outside Müller, so 0.930. Anyone who splits are inside that. 0.6, 0.7 going to the final check, have a big chance of top 20. Creation will not be one of those, but still some really good sliders to go, including Dylan Morse of GB, who may have a chance at top 20 here. Track is slowing though.
Yes, we know with some of these sliders to come, they have the potential for top 20. There are so many names in that list that can do it. And it's going to be so important to get that early start number on the second run. And if you get in that top 20, you could move up 4 or 5 spots.
Ondrej Hyman of Czechia, 28th last week. Didn't go in Oberhof last season. He was 22nd on the Olympic qualifying list. He would go as the Czechia #1, the Czechia representative. They have that quota place. Hyman, 23rd fastest from the start here. But again, in comparison to the magnificent Jonas Müller.
Yes, so tough to get a read on how good these runs are because everybody's been in the red since Jonas Müller. The labyrinth looking good here from Ondrej Hyman, one of the best we've seen from the Czech athlete. Really good line step as well into 13. Useful run.
Look at the time though. He's going to need to be quick here to get ahead of Greiner. Has he done enough? No, 22nd. I think the track conditions are starting to affect things as well, with 5 to go, including Dylan Morse of Team GB.
That slightly slow start time, putting paid. But we saw some really solid lines down the whole of the track. Now, going that high in curve 6 isn't always a problem. It's an easy fix. It can throw you up high. And this line from 10 to 11, if we compare that to some of our top athletes, that's close to where a lot of them would want to be. See him just making sure he's online and then stretching out. And then that tricky exit of Kreisel that's going to make team relay and mixed fascinating.
It really is, isn't it? Mixed next week, team relay this week. Good luck hitting that button. It looks big, I tell you what, it doesn't when you're on a sled. You're flying around that Kreisel. Got to keep your wits about you. Seiya Kobayashi now from Nagano. Hosts, of course, of the Winter Olympics back in 1998. Went to Beijing and will be going to Milan Cortina, 27th on that Olympic qualifying list, under 4/10 already outside the time of Müller. Top 20, very much the target. This split will tell us an awful lot. Goodness me, he looked really bumpy there, and it's cost him 7/10 outside now.
Yes, smooth lines apart from there for Kobayashi. You know with Kobayashi, you're always going to get a pretty run. It's always going to look good, apart from that little mistake in the labyrinth. It was solid, but dropping back by 1.2 seconds.
Now, next up, I'm going to give a plug for Mirza Nikolaev. See Kobayashi in action, but the movie, the documentary movie that's all about Mirza Nikolaev and this track in Sarajevo. I can't tell you the whole story now, but it's an extraordinary story. The doco looks great, and it's touring at the moment. I know Mark's going to see it next week, and unfortunately I can't. It's in London, but on the 22nd at a great little cinema in Bloomsbury, part of the Curzon there, but I'm working, sadly, at exactly the same time it's showing. And by the way, I checked the seats last night. There are about 10 left, so have a look on the website. But that will feature Mirza Nikolaev, and he was 31st on that Olympic qualifying list. Not good enough for a quota place for Mirza, but he's doing an awful lot of good work in other ways right now.
He really is, and he's come up through the juniors, learnt so much over the past few years. As we say, if you do see the track, you'll see exactly how he got his start in sliding. Definitely not a conventional manner. It's looking good here though, Mirza Nikolaev. It's this critical line into 12, just hits the right wall, but gets it back together. 13's late, and he's over as well off the sled. Manages to climb back on.
Yeah, he's regrouped, hasn't he? But of course, he's over 3 seconds outside. That was always the case once he'd made that mistake. But in terms of pride, he hangs on. It means he finishes. It means he might pick up a couple of points. And it's pride, mainly. He's not going to make the second run, but it's so important. Try and get to the bottom if you can.
Well, that's going to be a frustrating run for him. He did all the hard work through those technical, tricky turns, through that labyrinth, 8 all the way through to 11. But then this late entrance to 13, it just drops you out so early. And then the G-force still exists, and it wants to throw you back up. And that's exactly what it did to Mirza Nikolaev.
So, 3 athletes to go, some less familiar names with the absence of so many big ones this week. Dylan Morse, an athlete who Mark knows really well, to go next. So I'll let you talk us through this one, Mark.
We know that Dylan Morse has just bags of potential. Only 20 years old. Regular top 12 starter in his first full World Cup season, and really lots of experience, 10 years of sliding experience behind him, and looking so good right now, stretching out, just goes on a little early there, keeps his cool. It's a good curve 11 and a great cross to 12, 12-13, again looking good, maybe a little low there, but manages to correct it. Little just pushes it back into Kreisel. Good run from Dylan.
Yeah, he's 24th. 2 to go. Bruno Mick, Arkadiusz Troiger, Matt Greiner must be getting more and more confident in 20th. Jonas Müller with a track record leads. Felix Lok second. Christos Appiod Great first run is third. Langenhan is fourth. And then we've got the 3 Austrians in a row sliding off for 2 places in the Olympic Games. We've effectively got 2 races in the second run, arguably 3, because beyond the 2 Gleichers and Wolfi Kindl, Gran Cagnolo and Nursler are 8th and 9th, and they might be sliding off, less definitively, because no one's told us, for the German number 3 spot. Could still be relevant, so we've got so much going on in the second run. Women's singles, by the way, first run to come next in about 25 minutes time. Then it'll be the second men's singles run, then the women's 2 before the doubles tomorrow, and of course the team relay. But showing respect to Bruno Mick of Slovakia, he needs to be inside .930 behind Jonas Müller to find a way into the top 20.
It's so good to see Bruno Mick on the singles roster. A solid double side. You saw him just nudge onto the early curves there past the women's start. But again, keeps his cool, he's back on track. Usually on the back of a double sled with Bosman, but getting as many runs as he can in before the games.
And he's still inside that time of Greiner, but you suspect he'll just lose that little bit more in the bottom part of the track. Mick on his own is not going to be quick enough here. But still, as Mark said, good experience for him. He's 27th, so it means that only Arkadiusz Trojga of Poland can deny Matt Greiner the second run, and that feels unlikely.
Yeah, looks like Matt Greiner is home and dry, which will give him the advantage of that early start number on fresh ice. We've seen how the track slowed, so you never know how much they can pick up in that second run with those early start numbers. You see him just bumping on there, but you see it's so important how important it is to keep calm, soak up the knock, and just carry on.
Nico Gleicher will go ahead of Kindl and his brother David in that Austrian slide-off, but you'd still rather have the time. Kindl and Gleicher, David Gleicher that is, still have the time advantage, but what a subplot now. Arkadiusz Trojga, Arek Trojga. Arek is the diminutive of Arkadiusz. Let's see what he can do here. Could he produce something surprising? Could he challenge Matt Greiner? 29th fastest start, so quicker than only one athlete so far. This, I suspect, is going to be a learning experience for Trojga, making the main race by the skin of his teeth from the Nations Cup. Let's take a look at this second checkpoint for Trojga. Where is the time? Yeah, well outside already. I think Greiner's okay into the second run, unless Trojga can make up some time here, and the feet went down there, Mark.
Yeah, it was going from bad to worse, unfortunately, for Trojga. Some great lines, but also some little mistakes at the top that really cost him. And that little bump down the straightaway into Kreisel wouldn't have cost him that much in time. But it all adds up. And when you've made mistakes in the top of the track, they just multiply. That was the mistake there. He bumped onto 6, just threw him high in the curve. Very tough to get back from. And then that line out of 13, almost the same mistake that we saw from Rasmus Moberg. Just getting dropped down early, get thrown back up, but Trojga managing to ride it out.
Big smile from him. That brings to an end the first run of the men's singles. Our attention will switch to the women, but we remind you first of all how it stands. Subplots everywhere. Müller leads from Locke, and Müller's still vulnerable to Locke and Apeyod, who are inside 10th of a second, and it's the Austrian and German subplots below that will be so fascinating. We will be back soon as Greiner makes it through to the top 20 with the women's singles, and much still to be decided there. 10 will say farewell. 20 will go again in the men, and the top 10 should be absolutely riveting. Every single run. Women's singles will be too, and the first run is coming up in just over half an hour. Myself and Mark will be back for that. We'll see you then. And welcome back to you from the Lotto Thuringen Ice Arena in the Thuringian Forest in central Germany. This wonderful track, you get a great view of things there. That's a better one, isn't it, with that finishing Kreisel at the bottom of your picture. We are indeed in Oberhof. We've already seen a thrilling first run of the men's singles, and now we move on to our women's singles, and we give you an idea of what lies in front of these tremendous athletes. A shorter track for the women, vertical drop of 93, 11 corners rather than 14. Remember, the idea with luge, particularly on these technical tracks, is eliminate mistakes, find a good racing line and carry speed down the rest of the track. Set up that 8 to 11 from turn number 7, set up speed in the lower part of the track. We see how important that is. And then that finishing Kreisel. For a more literal interpretation of things, our two-time Olympian Mark Hatton can talk us through our point of view, which should, as if like magic, appear right now.
Perfect timing there. Just going past the women's start. This is into 5. Now this is one of the last true luge tracks on the planet. This rewards real luge sliding, quick movement of the shoulders, quick brain waves, and real strong reaction time. This is that tall curve 11, and you'll notice that you go so high in some of these curves. Curve 13, look how high we are, dive bombing out onto the straightaway. You want to get over onto the right-hand side, early into Kreisel, and then if you're lucky, you won't hit the left wall on the way out, and up the finish line you go.
Just emphasizes that finishing Kreisel, the point Mark was making about the team relay and the mixed events, where if you haven't watched them, I mean, I always call it a button, you know, for want of a better word. It dangles down above you. You have to reach up and hit it to release your teammate, or else it does not work out. More on that in a moment, but here's the temperatures for Mark.
Oh, we're definitely in autumn. It's almost a balmy summer's day here, 7.6 degrees air temperature. So that means this incredibly talented track crew here in Oberhof are going to be working double time to make sure that the track is still in good shape by the time we reach the last slider today.
Yeah, going back to that point about the button at the bottom, it actually, we've seen people make mistakes in much easier tracks than Oberhof, and if you have to spin around that final Kreisel, then make sure you hit it to release your teammate. Good luck. You can play it safe, but even that might be dangerous. Here's our start list for the women's singles. A reminder, this also serves as the European Championship, so if, for example, an Austrian's outside the top 4 and an American is in it, then the Austrian would get a European Championship medal. Kaya Hatton, who is very well known to my co-commentator, goes in 25th. Mark will have the agony of commentating on his daughter in a few moments' time. But final preparations here, and of course subplots here too ahead of the second race. Maybe fewer though than we have to come in the men's singles second run.
Yes, there's lots of depth. From what we understand, Lisa Schulte, who we see now, has been given her ticket to the games. The rest is based on a race-off for the Austrian athletes. It's not, probably won't be as tight as it is in the men's, but you never know. There's some early start numbers. Barbara Almayer off 4th. You know, there's so many other subplots that could happen. One really interesting piece is Tova Kahala. She's so fast here. She needs a result to get her Olympic qualification, to have the Swedish Olympic Committee accept her. And she's 3rd off today. With these warm temperatures, this could really play into her hands.
I must say, to the uninitiated, the idea that Barbara Almayer with a good run, nothing but respect for her, by the way, that's not my point, with a good run here could, for example, throw our overall World Cup leader Hannah Prock out of the Olympic Games. I'm not sure about that. Lisa Schulte guaranteed her place, but I'm not sure about the slide off if it came down to that. If you've been good enough to lead the way, yeah. But, as I said, uninitiated. Maybe the stuff I don't understand. Anyway, Daria Oleszczyk, our neutral athlete, will get things underway. 10th in Winterberg last week. A really good result for her, and getting a good enough Nations Cup result to go off first. First of 30, remember, in this women's singles, like the men, and they will be reduced down to 20 for our second run, which comes up later on today. Let's see how Daria Oleszczyk leads us off.
Just shows how close these curves come after the other. This is that labyrinth, 10 to 11. That's good from Oleszczyk. A little high on the exit, just bounces on before 12. But she's got the experience to just get that back together, and it drops out nicely towards the Kreisel.
Smoothly into the Kreisel then for Daria Oleszczyk. Around she comes with a bump off that left-hand wall that hopefully doesn't cost her too much. A little painful for her, but Oleszczyk with 41.957 leads us off here.
Well, it's a quick time. As our opener, that's only 4/10 outside the track record. So the track is definitely in good shape today. A lot of the testing will have been done by the athletes. They're going to be getting their Olympic Games setups. You see her just bouncing on there, but keeps her cool. Now, these neutral athletes having to relearn a lot of these tracks, having been away from competition for a few years. So probably been a while since Oleszczyk's been back to Oberhof, as we see her go airborne over the finish line. But putting down a very good time to open the bookings.
Well, we had a track record in the men's that may go again in the second run from Müller. Will the track record go here? The maple leaf tells you it must be one of the Canadian team. It's Caitlin Nash, 17th and 21st here last season. 7 points behind Trinity Ellis on that Olympic qualifying list. Agonizingly for her. Now, can Caitlin make a statement here, I wonder? She's slower than Daria Oleszczyk up at the top of the track, but now she moves into those green numbers.
Yeah, she's such a smooth athlete, Caitlin. Really works from the back of the sled, very classical style of luging, working in diagonals. Just a little early to 11, but deals with it really well. And into 12, she's looking smooth. She got 0.06 of a second at that checkpoint.
It's good this from Nash. It emphasizes the point that Mark was making about it being very, very quick today. Can she even maybe threaten the course record? Not there, she can't. She is inside Oleszczyk, but a mistake in the Kreisel costs her time, just under 200ths quicker than the neutral athlete. Tove Kahala, fascinatingly, to come next.
Big hit for Caitlin Nash on the exit of Kreisel. We keep saying that is going to make our mixed and team relay events over the next week box office. Here's Nash through those tricky top sections. And then this is the exit of 13. You see her just get pushed across. And this is where you see on her left leg, she's just gently pushing the sled back in so she can go into that finish curve down that right-hand wall.
Well, she's okay. Next up, Tove. And just to give you an idea of this subplot, rather like her brother, they have the quota place. Can she convince the Swedish Olympic Committee that she is worth it from 31st on that Olympic list? Far from guaranteed, but with her style, should be very good down here and has been in the past. 16th and 11th last season. That kind of finish here could do it for Tove Kahala. She's outside the time of Caitlin Nash at the moment by nearly 0.2 of a second, though.
Tove with a little mistake from 6 to 7. And then also bouncing onto 10 there, getting it back together though. Tove, the fastest athlete in the world from a country without a home track, but a mistake into 13.
Yeah, a couple of skids here from Kahala. Not looking as ordered and smooth as she would have liked it, as she puts her foot down on the way into Kreisel as well. Third and nearly half a second outside Nash. And remember, these just the early starters, so that is a long way from what was required from Tove Kahala. What a disappointment.
she will be so upset with that. We know, looking at her past results here, how fast she can go. You know, real top 10 potential. As I say, the fastest athlete in the world from a country without a home track. That's saying something when you're threatening the top 10 week in, week out. That was a mistake just before 7. Although they don't look like much, but they're very costly because it's so flat up there. And then that was where she just knocked on the right before 12 and got sent in late. And from there, she was having to make a lot of corrections. But we know what a class act Tova Kahala is. So run number 2, expect a big improvement.
If there is a run number 2. Nearly half a second outside Caitlin Nash. Plenty are going to go past her. Barbara Almayer now, the athlete you were mentioning from Austria. Could she get herself involved here? 16th on that Olympic qualifying list, but that not good enough, of course. 6th here in Oberhof in December last season, then 14th in the January meeting for Almayer. And she is just inside 100th outside Caitlin Nash. She can make this up, Almayer.
She absolutely can. This just shows the depth in this Austrian program. Very high on the exit of 11. You saw her just rise up there. Had to take some evasive action. It's a good exit 13. She needs to push it across. She's got 1,000th of a second.
She's picked it up quite brilliantly here. Almayer to take the lead. To take the lead. She has flown in that bottom section. Goodness me, the time she made up. She's ended up over 1/10 better off than Caitlin Nash. Wow, that does lay down a marker from Almayer.
And also with that mistake out of 11, she dropped early out of 11, came back up on the exit. The fact she threw down that time, just a couple of tenths, 3/10 off the track record, just shows, again, what a great slider she is. That was the problem where she just dropped out, skidded for the entirety of the straightaway between 11 and 12. And then just got bumped away. But Almayer with a 41.8, throwing down a marker in this fascinating Austrian race-off.
And if it is a race-off, literally, there's pressure on Schwarz and Prock. Schulte, we understand, goes. Now, Melina Fischer, 8th here, last December, 13th in January. Real German talent. Of course, 14th in Winterberg, a rare outing for her this season. Can she get inside Almayer's time at the top? She can. She's a real talent, Melina Fischer, but of course she's consistently overshadowed.
Yes, we talk about this weekly, don't we? The perils of being the number 5 or 6 German woman. It's a tough place to be because the likelihood is you're a box office top 10 finisher, as we know Melina Fischer is, as she moves 1/10 into the lead.
Yeah, really significant slide this from Fischer, taking on that time of Almayer. She looks quick down at the bottom of the track as well, and she takes over. She takes over, and they move ever closer to that track record of Madalena Egler.
Well, a couple of small mistakes from Fischer wouldn't possibly cost her that. Track starting to slow down with these warm temperatures. But yeah, Fischer, she's still so young as well. No doubt some retirements coming from that German team. And you just feel if these athletes that are just on the cusp stick around, then greatness can lie before them.
Next up, another athlete with much to prove, Natalie Marg. 3rd here in January. Surely she's going to the games, but she needs to make absolutely sure of that. Let's see what she can achieve here. We know how quick she can be, how consistent she can be, and anything near the top 5 this weekend, well, won't just guarantee her place in Italy, but would put her amongst those with an outside chance of a medal. Natalie Marg, never write her off.
Yes, it would be an absolute travesty if an athlete like Mark didn't make the team for the games. Just sliding a little early to 12 there. Keeps her cool, deals with it well. It looks like a good 13. Just gets pushed across like a hovercraft down the straightaway.
And here she comes around the Kreisel to take the lead. And now that was 400s outside the track record from Natalie Mark. Someone surely is going to break it when you see the speed that's coming. That record of Egler is in serious danger. It's quick today, all right.
It really is, and look at the ice. The ice is still looking shiny. The track crew working their magic, managing to fight these warm conditions. That was that little skid into 12. You saw it just go on a little early, get bumped away. Again, it's a mistake, but it's not an expensive mistake if you just stay calm, absorb the bump, and keep your head about you.
Now here's the message for Anna Bereiter. Can you produce a first run that will set you up properly for the second? Because she has made up time in the last 2 weekends. 8th in Sigulda from 15th, 6th in Winterberg from 9th. Can she get top 5, top 6 in the first run to give herself a real chance? Germany's number 3, she'll be heading surely to the Olympic Games. Let's see what Bereiter can do, because on her day, she can beat them all.
She really can. That deceptively fast start. The paddles don't look quick, but week in, week out, you think, oh, maybe she's holding back on the start, and then she throws down an absolute heater off the ramp. 1,000th of a second to play with at that checkpoint. 11's looking good, though, in 11 to 12. Good straight shot, just 9,000th back.
Yeah, 9,000ths outside. How about this checkpoint? She's lost a little bit more time. It's a bit ragged here from Bereiter. She needs a sensational Kreisel here. She's found a good one, but not good enough. Natalie Mark continues to lead the way. Bereiter and Fischer, 2 and 3. And now, crucially, comes Dorothea Schwarz as it gets very, very serious with a view to Milan Cortina. Bereiter will be okay with that, but she won't be as high at the end of this first run as she would have hoped.
Bereiter with a couple of small errors, especially down at the bottom of the track. She started well, built speed, and then it dropped to just 1,000th of a second. And then through the bottom section of the track, that's where the time was like such a great shot into 13. You see how high they go. You see her just hit that little fillet, that little rounding on the wall, just knocks her away from Kreisel. That means she has to do just a little bit more work in the entrance of Kreisel when you go in that bit later. Have to cut a little bit more ice, create a little bit more friction.
So the target for Dorothea Schwarz has to be Barbara Almayer. She's been mega consistent all season long. She lies 5th in the overall World Cup table right now. One of 3 Austrian sleds in the top 8 on that Olympic qualifying list. 11th and 8th here last season.
Dorothea Schwarz, such a breath of fresh air. So good when you see these athletes make the jump up from juniors and just throw down week in, week out, 12 to 13. Little mistake between 12, but that's a great line into the Kreisel.
She still has time in hand over her Austrian teammate Almayer. Where's Schwarz going to end up? 2nd. And that's okay, behind Natalie Mark. But in terms of that Austria slide off, plenty of time to play with in terms of Almayer, with only Hannah Prock and Lisa Schulter to go, but we know that Schulter's already okay in that overall picture.
And you see with these race-offs, slide-offs, that really shows you who has the minerals for when it comes to the Olympics, because that pressure will be just like your inter-team slide-off. And even though she's had a great season, Dorothea Schwarz, in a sport where 100ths of a second, 1,000ths of a second can tip the balance, keeping your cool in these inter-team race-offs is just so critical.
Merle Frabel, her fans in the house, great to have her back after illness. She won The Olympic test event, remember, in Milan Cortina. She has to be up there as one of the favorites. 4th here twice last season. 7th on the Olympic qualifying list. A little quiet this season so far, maybe almost one of the forgotten sleds, which sounds crazy from someone who's 6th in the World Cup standings, but she is better than her results so far this season have shown. Maybe Fraebel well inside the time of mark. Is Merle Fraebel heading for the track record? She's not far off track record time right now.
It's absolutely right. It's choppy. She made a mistake in the start curve, but it doesn't seem to have cost her. At this pace, she's got to get that record. She's a 10th to the good.
Yeah, she's well inside it here, Fraebel. Watch out for TR here, yeah. Fraebel does it. I don't think it's going to be the last time, but Merle Fraebel smashes the track record. And now, big names to follow. Let's see if that track record is still standing at the end of this first run. My money says it won't be.
Well, I would agree. I think even if you're a track holder for 50 seconds, track record holder, it's a huge accomplishment. It was a really good run from Fraebel, but it was ragged around the edges. It didn't have that precision that we see from a Talbot's, but she's still so young. She's a powerful athlete, confident athlete, and so much more to come from Fraebel in the future.
Next up, Candia Apayodo. We've already seen her brother go really well in the men's singles. Top 10 in January here in Oberhof. The number 2 Latvian sled behind Botta. And Apayodo, the slow start here in comparison certainly to Fraebel, but she does really well to pick up that time. And Apayodo at the moment leads the way, goes from green to red. She wanted to go back to green again here.
Lost a little bit of time there, 500ths. The Latvians very good through this labyrinth. It replicates their home labyrinth in Sigulda. Another true luge track, and 12 to 13 is looking good.
Maybe picking up time, but actually the optics are deceptive because she's lost a little bit of time. She's over 2/10 outside there, and she moves to over 3/10 outside into 5th, Candia Apayodo, which after an excellent start is slightly disappointing.
I think if you'd have offered her being 2/10 outside the old track record this morning, she would have probably taken it. And to be in 5th place after a run like that just shows how well the track is holding up and how well the rest of the field is sliding.
EBERSPAECHER to come next, the Canadian number 1 Canada sled. As we see Apayodo, by the way, slightly changed the format of those shades. Curve 4 is open, entry section of curve 11 open, curve 13 open, all the way to the exit. Means it's not quite as warm. Here is EBERSPAECHER. Chance here at Oberhof, 14th at that Olympic test event, still so young, still right at the start of her luge career. 15th last week in Winterberg. She's been in and around that top 15 all season so far. Could she break into the top 10 here, as she did in Winterberg in our opening race of the season?
You do feel this is a real EBERSPAECHER track. She's such a smooth slider, a real style master on the sled as you see her go through that labyrinth, just like it's a straightaway. Beautiful slide, and just gets bumped onto 12, but it's looking good here from EBERSPAECHER.
For the moment, she's over half a second behind the exceptionally quick Fraebel, who, remember, broke the track record here. Susko is going to be 10th. Faster only than Tove Kahala to this point. And that emphasizes just how disappointing that run of Tove was at such a crucial juncture as well.
Definitely Tove, if she gets the second run, will have to prove herself in that second run, really show what we all know she is capable of. But back to the lecture at hand. Ember Susko just getting bumped late into 12. But you just get the feeling that there was a lack of positive speed in the top of the run for Ember. Some micro errors at the top that really cost her, because the bottom section was good. 7/10 back for the Canadian.
When you consider, just in terms of Tove, there are 6 seeded athletes to go. Tove's 11th. That would be 17th if they all finish. Then it's 3 places to play with the other Nations Cup qualifiers. It's going to be really tight for her. And that Olympic dream. Here goes Elina Botta of Latvia. She was top 10 here back in January. Great record, of course, as you would expect, at Sigulda. 6th there this year, 7th in Winterberg after a good first run, had her 6th. She's finding form at a really important time, and she's into the green figures here. Remember, she's into the green figures up against the track record from Frabel. What a good top of the track this is from Elina Botta.
Absolutely, Elina Botta with a start record. Fantastic beginning to the run for her, just dropping back 13 thousandths of a second. Could we see her threaten the new track record?
She's outside a 10th now, though. Botta losing a little bit of time here. And she ends in 5th. She just lost it down at the bottom. I think that emphasizes just how quick Frabel was. And let's not forget, Natalie Marg is still up there in 2nd place. She came here with a point to prove, and she is proving it right now.
She really is. Really is. That could definitely stand the test of time. Some big names to come. But the track, and I'm going to use that word again, the
milky.
Ice looks like it's starting to get milky. It's losing its sheen. That's a shot there where you see the ice has lost that glass-like quality. But that means that the frost is starting to grow through, and that tends to grab on the steels, slows you down by milliseconds. But as we know, the only sport timed for 1,000ths of a second, that is all important.
I think you've got a secret sponsorship with the Canadian Milk Board. It crops up so regularly. Hannah Prock, World Cup leader, but crucially, Austrian slide-off. Seems remarkable that she'd even be considered. You could call her a Winterberg specialist, but she's very, very quick everywhere. What can she do in Oberhof? Almayer is 8th right now. Schwarz is 3rd. We understand it doesn't matter with Schulte. She's in the team for Milan Cortina. What Prock mustn't do is make a mess of this. 10th fastest start, but Prock's style normally picks up speed down at the bottom of the track, but it's not a great top here at Oberhof for Hannah Prock.
Yeah, keep an eye on that clock in the bottom right-hand corner for the next checkpoint. She's smooth through there. She hasn't lost any time. She's only back by a 10th. So she has to be absolutely perfect. Skids around the exit of 13.
I wonder if nerves are coming into play. Where will Prock be at the end of this run? She'll be 3rd. So she's the quickest Austrian so far. Hannah Prock just inside 2/10. And I wonder if Merle Frabel's track record might just stand. There's only 4 of the seeds to go, but that's a really good run from Hannah Prock.
It really was. She's such a smooth slider, not the fastest starter, as we know, and still so young as well. But just another real slider in that kind of Dominic Fischnaller mold, just smooth, relaxed on the sled. But you see her skid up the curve in the exit of 13. Incredible awareness from Prock to stick the landing. That could have been disaster for Hannah Prock.
Track record has been broken by Merle Frabel. One of those who could grab it is Ashley Farquharson. Top 5 last December here, 5th, then 7th in January. 4th on that Olympic qualifying list. Crashed last week, but she's had some great finishes. 3rd, Park City, 2nd, Lake Placid, 5th in Sigulda. What can Ashley do here at Oberhof, just outside Frabel, up at the top of the track? But Farquharson, of course, brings so much power and speed. She normally does her best work from now onwards, but she's got plenty of time to make up.
Yeah, 10th back at that checkpoint, just falling through the labyrinth a little bit, gets it back together for 11, and it's a useful 11-12 transition. She's only back by 2/10.
Still got that to make up. She's nearly 3/10 off now. It's not vintage Farquharson, this. Maybe that ice is getting slower and slower. She's just inside the top 10. That is poor, really, from her. By her high standards, she beats only 4 so far.
A few little errors from Ashley Farquharson, especially through that labyrinth section. One of those areas where you expect an athlete of her style to really make hay and build time is through that tight labyrinth. This is a shot from 13 to 14. You saw it's just drifting late into Kreisel. And that, while it doesn't look like much, means you've really got to hammer that entrance drive that little bit more, and it will cost time.
Shrug of the shoulders. Yeah, can't always be perfect, Ashley. You've got to accept that, I think. Oh, the Julia Taubitz fan club's in. 3rd here last December, 2nd in January. Number 1 on that Olympic qualifying list. She's had a brilliant season so far, and we know how quick Taubitz is. Surely the woman most likely to grab that track record off Merle Frabel. 9th fastest at the start, but Taubitz will do her best work from now on in. She is supremely skilled, but she does have time to make up.
Well, Taubitz is one of those athletes where, as a commentator, sometimes you think, what am I going to talk about? Because she does so much good down the track. That was a mistake, though, into 12. Taubitz right on the edge and way back.
Way back in terms of this race, absolutely. Taubitz down in 8th. I think the track's slowing up here. I mean, how many do you need before that becomes a fact? Taubitz over 3/10. I know she made mistakes, but Frabel wasn't absolutely perfect either. Let's see what Schulter and Britscher do, but for Taubitz, that's disappointing.
It really is. A couple of small mistakes, but you wouldn't think they would have cost her 0.2 of a second. You can see definitely the ice looking more opaque through there. And that was a mistake. 11 to 12. You saw her just skid out of 11 a tiny bit, but then bumping before 12 and having to make a big correction.
Green light for Julia. Here goes Lisa Schulter on her way to the Olympic Games. We know she's guaranteed. She's not in this slide-off. She's 4th in the World Cup overall list, Schulter. What can she do here? 3rd in that Olympic test event. 2nd here in Oberhof last December, 5th in January. Can she challenge that time of Frabel? She is already 500ths outside of it. More evidence maybe that things are getting slower.
Yes, it looks like it to me, because again, Schulter, we know, such a class act. A little heavy onto the labyrinth, though, from Schulter. Uncharacteristically so for such a smooth slider. Almost identical mistake to Taubitz, hammering that right wall before 12.
So here comes Schulter, just over a 10th outside the time, the track record time of Merle Frabel, and into the Kreisel she goes. I think that's probably a really good run to get her 4th, and you know who'll be watching this with interest will be Tova Kahala, who is down in 16th and last and nearly a second behind, but with only Britscher to come of the seeds, can 3 get past her in these slightly slower conditions from those Nations Cup athletes? We'll see.
It's a good start from the Austrian. So a little choppy through this labyrinth, though. And then this was that line where she just dropped down, and this was where the mistake was almost identical to the one made by Taubitz, just hitting that right-hand wall before 13.
Summer Britscher to come. Had a brilliant season. The USA's best. 3rd in the World Cup standings despite missing a race, remember. That's how good she's been. Track record is there for her potentially, but not a great record recently here, only top 15. last season on both occasions she slid down here, and already 600s outside Frabel. Can Summer-Britcher stay mistake-free and stay in touch here of that time of Merle Frabel? She's lost another 300s, but going pretty well at the moment here, Britcher, but a little bump off that right-hand wall.
Yeah, it's being set up for the labyrinth just offline. Britcher having to drop the feet into 12. Seems like she's got it back together for 13. Trying to make it up from the back of the pack, but 3/10 to play with.
Must have cost her a little bit of time. Yeah, it's cost her a lot of time. 13th for Summer-Britcher. So as we head into our second group of Nations Cup athletes, who are 13 in number, Tove Kahala is currently 17th. That's not the only subplot here, but I'd say it's a fairly significant one. And just to look at that bigger picture, Natalie Marg remains second. Merle Frabel, despite me confidently saying she would not have the track record at the end of this first run, she very, very likely will now.
What could come for run number 2 if they can get the track back into shape? That could be a fascinating run number 2.
Juliana Tunitska of Ukraine to come next. I think her time here will tell us an awful lot about the speed of the track. Well, are we talking 700s behind, 600s behind? Are we talking over a second? That kind of thing. She's in one of the qualification places for the Olympic Games, by the way, for Ukraine. Remember, she made that big mistake in the second run in Winterberg last week, but in general, she's been in and around that top 20, not guaranteed top 20 every week, which is what makes, I think, this run a really good indicator of maybe what's to come, and certainly a good indicator for Tove Kahala.
We'll be watching very intently this run. Tunitska just dropping back, 1.5 tenths back at that checkpoint for the former junior world champion from Ukraine. A little high in 10, but it's good to 11. This is putting together a decent bottom section.
Yeah, this is pretty quick so far from Tunitska, especially if the ice is slowing up, but she's 6/10 behind now. What about the Kreisel? Did she take enough speed into it, Tunitska? She did. She's into 17th. And Tove Kahala drops down another place. And that gives us just an indication that the quality in these Nations Cup qualifiers can still move them up into that top 20.
It was a great, smooth bottom section from Juliana Tunitska. Really good sliding, as we say. You don't become junior world champion without having the skills. And there's that shot around curve 13. And the exit, you saw her just get fired towards that right-hand wall, towards the crowd. But again, she kept her calm, got bumped away, and then just gently eased the sled earlier onto the finish curve.
Next up, Klaudia Domoradska, another top 30 on that qualifying list. Poland have those places. Domoradska surely on her way to the games in that list of 25. 27th last week. Can she get up into that top 20? That has to be the target here for Klaudia. Remember, Frabel's time, a bit like with Müller in the men's singles, that's a track record that you're comparing her to, but Domoradska will be more interested on staying within 900ths, 9/10ths rather, or a second inside that time of Frabel.
A little late to 8 for Domoradska, but it's looking good through here, through the labyrinth. 10 to 11's good, a little late to 11. Just skids into 12, but she gets it back together. Half a second back at that checkpoint.
Yeah, she's negotiating it pretty well. She's gone to nearly 7/10ths back, though, Domoradska. Again, Tove Kahala will be watching on with interest, and she's outside that time. Domoradska our slowest so far. Remember, Kahala needs 3 athletes not to go inside her to remain in that top 20 for the second run, and that could be so important for her.
It was a good top section from Domoradska, having to make a little correction out of 13. But then the labyrinth from Domoradska, this is 10 to 11. You see she went just a little late to 11, but she kept her calm, hung on that wall a little bit, and then the skid happened. But again, The curbs come so thick and fast in Oberhof. It's such a true luge track that if you keep a cool head, you can fix those mistakes.
Next up is Trinity Ellis of Canada. 19th last week in Winterberg. Top 15 in that Olympic test event. She was 18th on that Olympic qualifying list, ahead of Caitlin Nash by 7 points. Trinity Ellis, so tight. What can Trinity do here at Oberhof then, as we head into our second group of Nations Cup qualifiers, the third of them here in the shape of Trinity Ellis?
Well, we know she's going to have her work cut out with these failing ice conditions. But Trinity Ellis, what you know is that she will always throw down fast runs on every track in the world. True top 10 potential, week in, week out for Ellis. It's looking good here, but she's still losing time. She's half a second back.
Half a second back into the final. Kreisel still quicker than... Oh, big bump at the end, but she's still 17th. Ellis still could have been better than that, but still just over 7 tenths behind. It was a good run. She would have been challenging Nash and Susko, but for the error right at the bottom.
She really could. Ellis hammering Al Kreisel, getting some air miles, leaving the ice. She's a big starter. The Canadians always solid starts. They've got that beautiful facility in Calgary at Wintersport, the ice house. Incredible state-of-the-art start ramp. And then that was where she just got lifted up on the exit and then slams across the finish line.
Yeah, a bit frustrated by that. Zane Kaluma to come next. '20th in all on the Olympic qualifying list. The third Latvian sled. It won't be good enough for Zane Kaluma, doubles athlete of old, and now focusing on the singles. The time, the track record time of Merle Frabel is there, and Zane Kaluma just under 2 tenths outside of it already here.
Yeah, that's an expensive mistake, just getting bumped onto curve 7. They flat through into 12, but it's good from Kaluma there, just 3 tenths back.
Yeah, just picking up a little bit of time. It's a good run, this, from Zane Kaluma, just under half a second behind. How close can Kaluma get? She's 16th. That, in the conditions, is a really good run from Zane Kaluma. And by the way, Tove Kahala is now 20th. If one athlete goes quicker than her, she's done for.
Indeed, the plus for Tove is if she stays there, she will get the quickest ice. But that was a great run from the Latvian. Zane Kaluma with a little mistake here. This is it, going just bumping into curve 7. It's very flat through there. So it's not time you can make up, it's time that will multiply the loss down the track. But this exit, 13 to 14. See, she just goes a little early, but then just nudges it back across with a great finish curve.
So Kaluma gone. Now, Ioana Buzătoiu, the Romanian, 34th in that Olympic test event way back. She's had top 20 here, Buzătoiu. That will be the aim again for her. Buzătoiu just with that little alteration you could see on the start ramp to get herself into the optimum position. 16th fastest start. Not a bad start at all, this from Buzătoiu as she gathers momentum.
Really not bad at all. Gives herself every chance with that start. It's a good line into 8 as well. 9's good. And more of the same from 10 to 11.
Buzătoiu just over 3 tenths outside. Big power slide from her. She does remarkably well to keep a hold of that. Wow. And she's still just under 6 tenths behind. She's surely going to lose more time. She was all over the place and she's 21st.
That could have been disastrous for Buzătoiu in 12. Such a big curve, so much to go wrong. Dealt with it incredibly incredibly well, managed to get back on track for 13, just dropping into 21st behind Kahala by 0.08 of a second. See it just bump on early, and it just fires her in so late and sends her up almost up to the roof in curve 12.
So Tove Kahala clings on to 20th, and well, she still has a chance. Veronica Ravenna to go next. That Buzatoyu error might just have saved Tove Kahala, because as you say, it was tight. It was 0.08. Without the error, she's clearly pushes her out. Now Ravenna from Buenos Aires, but Whistler-based, moved to Vancouver when she was just 6 years of age, and then discovered luge on a school trip on the brink of the Canada team 12 years ago, then broke her collarbone, and now under the flag of Argentina, and they have the quota spot for her at the Olympic Games. Can Ravenna land any kind of blow here? Normally, she's outside the top 20. 23, 24, that kind of figure. Let's see if it's any better here.
Well, it's good in the top from Veronica Ravenna. She's been working on her equipment. She's on a new sled this season, and she had a few teething troubles with it at the beginning. But as the last couple of races have started to look really comfortable on that sled with an awesome 13-14 transition.
Good transition there, and into Kreisel she comes, and wow, she smashes into that left-hand wall, and the crowd look on concerned there. Well, he doesn't, but Ravenna's okay. That was dramatic, though. She took part of the paraphernalia with her there.
Huge hit for Ravenna on the exit of Kreisel. You saw the advertising hoarding go flying. Let's just hope she's okay. This was a high line from 10 to 11, which she dealt with really professionally, really calmly. And then this line from 13 to 14, straight shot, but this was where the damage really happened. Was that out of her sled, I think?
It was, yeah. And she's in pain, as you can see. Left elbow. It comes with this sport. I'm going to let Mark take a breath, because you know who is coming next, but Hye-Sun Young goes next from Korea. A chance for Korean athlete Shin-Yu Bin to come as well, but Hye-Sun Young, first of all for Korea. She's not going to threaten that time of Frabel, but it is the 21st fastest start, and you know Tove Kahala will be starting to get more and more confident here. Young, though, just outside, a 1/10 of a second outside Frabel, so still on track here, Young, although you sense that a couple of errors at the top might make her lose time down the track. We'll see.
Yeah, Hye-Sun Young only 5/10 back there. A little high on the exit of 13. That throws her across to the right, but she pushes it back in to the finish curve.
Yeah, really good run this from Hye-Sun Young. I wonder where this has got her. Oh, it's got her 19th. Tove Kahala does drop out of the top 20, but that's a great run from Hye-Sun Young that not too many people would have seen coming. She goes into the top 20.
That was fire from Hye-Sun Young. Really good sliding, top to bottom, and then really holding her nerve out of curve 13 for a straight shot across to 14.
But as I always do, I'm going to let Mark talk through the next athlete all by himself. It only seems fair, but well done to Hye-Sun Young. Goodness me, that was good. That looks like fun. Go on then, Mark.
So Kaya Hatton of Great Britain, just 16 years old. First Senior World Cup in Oberhof. Not the fastest starter yet, but so many years to come. Looking smooth through this top section. It's good through there. Keeping her calm from 6 to 7. 3/10 back there. And this is the entrance to the labyrinth for Hatton, just bumping on. A little high in 10, but 11's good. It's a good shot across to 12. Just bumps on, but gets away with it. And then down the straightaway. It's a clean run from Haddon late into the Kreisel. Brings it back together, though. Crosses the finish line into 25th place. 1.3 seconds back for Kaya Hatton, but a solid, clean run.
Frabel then still leads the way with that track record time. She'll go last, I'm sure, in the second run. We still have 5 athletes to go. I think Tove Kahala is going to agonizingly for her finish just outside the top 20. That run of Hae-Sun Jung has cost her, and still the likes of Elena Smaha to go here. And Taya Bayliss, the other GB athlete, will go last in this first run, having qualified via the Nations Cup. And well done to Kaya, as you say, still learning the game at 16, not easy. And a big smile from her. So Elena Smaha, 21st, just outside that top 20 last week. She was 23rd in the Olympic list, so one of those 2 Ukraine quota spots feel will go her way. Certainly if they go by the list, they will. Smaha with a decent start as well, 9th fastest. Not challenging Frabel, but very, very respectable up at the top of the track here from Smaha, who's only just under 2 tenths behind Merle Frabel.
Yes, Smaha could certainly threaten her teammate Tunetska in 20th place. She made a big mistake in Nations Cup the other day, which put her to the back of the start list. But Smaha having to find some time down the straightaway, 7 tenths back. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be really tight, this, as she targets Tunitska. Where is she going to end? 25th, another mistake in that Kreisel did for Smaha. So Tunitska hangs on to 20th.
Smaha with a big, powerful start. So good to see at this end of the start list. And the labyrinth was a little choppy, Smaha, but then made up for it through here. That's the line through 13. You saw her just get pushed across to the right wall and then just get pushed back late and then flying across the finish line again.
Yeah, frustration from her. Elsa Desmond next, the Flying Doctor. Ireland's first ever Olympic luge. Will not be Olympics bound this time. Remarkable story. She is self-funded and trying to encourage the next generation. Studied at King's College London. She first saw luge on telly, the Turin at Winter Games in '06. A shame for her there won't be an Italian dream in Milan Cortina. Let's see how she goes here though, Elsa Desmond.
Well, there is one possibility for Elsa Desmond. It's the hand-back places, which they're all fighting for. There's a possibility that some countries won't accept their quota places. So in that case, Desmond is the next cab on the rank. Good line through the bottom section here from Elsa Desmond. Little skid down the straightaway. Keeps it together though.
So still an outside chance. Went sideways there at the end, the slowest here. So each country, it is worth remembering, gets those quota places, and they don't all necessarily take them up. It would need someone to hand one back because they don't believe their athlete can get as high as they would like. For example, Tove Kahala, and that could open it up for Elsa Desmond. I suppose Ireland still have to take it, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. See great control from Desmond here. Just feathering the sled. Didn't have a perfect exit, but used all her experience from an Olympian from the past games to keep the sled on track. Great reactions from Elsa Desmond.
So Yubin Shin of Korea, and this is interesting because we've already seen Hae-Sun Jung produce a really good run. To get into 19th, Tunitska, 0.931 behind Frabel, is currently in 20th. Could we get 2 Korean athletes into our top 20 here? Unlikely maybe, but let's see what Yubin Shin can achieve. Just over 2/10 outside Frabel at the moment, so the second slowest time up at the top of the track, but can she produce something close to perfection?
Well, they've got such a great development program, the Korean program, going from strength to strength with that gorgeous track in Pyeongchang. Yubin Shin, one of those young athletes, just getting into 12, keeps her calm, gets it back together. Let's see how 13, one of those young athletes that's really benefiting from having a home track.
She's going to be way outside everyone else, I think, here, Shin. 28th, but it's all good experience. They don't have that fiery reaction, and when Hye-sun Young went over the line, and Hye-sun Young would need to be incredibly unlucky now not to make the top 20 with only 2 athletes to go. Emma Sear, and then from Team GB, Taya Bayliss.
Yeah, that was an absolute storming run from Hye-sun Young to put her in 19th. Shin Yubin unable to replicate that, but really going this late in the start list and being as young as she is, just acquitted herself superbly.
So Emma Sear to go next from Estonia. Another who gets a chance here because of the absence of others, and because she came through in that Nations Cup. Good to see her again. Slightly sluggish start there, looked a little bit awkward from Emma Sear, and 26th in terms of the speed of her start. Remember, Merle Frabel has set a track record here to lead the way.
Indeed, track record not in danger, but Emma Sear, such a battler, such a great fighter. See the line across her visor, that's so that when she forces her to lie back, otherwise she can't see.
Oh, she makes a big mistake there. The feet came down for a significant length of time. It will cost her so much. And Sear is last at the moment. You could see the mistake so clearly.
Yeah, it was a big error from Emma Sear. A few little errors at the top. Flashes of genius, as we see week in, week out from Emma Sear. There is so much to come from this Estonian athlete. So great to see Estonia back on the luge tour as well. Very aware athlete. The difficult parts she did really well, but then 12-13 was rough, and this exit 13 where she got fired like a cannonball into that right-hand wall did for her time in the end.
So finally, our second GB athlete, Taya Bayliss, goes here. What an opportunity for her. Came through in the Calgary luge scene, tried out for Team GB. She had a GoFundMe page and everything, and got a fresh start in the sport. And Mark, talk us through how she goes here.
Well, she's been so good. When she went on the junior tour last year for the first time, the coaches just said it's such a pleasure to coach an athlete that drives such fabulous lines. Had a bit of a rough go in Nations Cup the other day, but then this is looking good though, through 11, just having to stop the skid into 12. She's got away with it. It's looking really good here from Taya Bayliss. She drops out of 13, stretches out. Look at that position on the sled from Bayliss.
She's not going to threaten top 20 here, Bayliss, but off the left wall she goes. 29th, finishes ahead of Emma Sear. Bayliss in 29th, Kaya Hatton 26th, Tove Kahala outside that top 20. Tunitska hangs on, she will go first in our second run, but the big news here, Merle Frabel has broken the track record and leads. Natalie Marg is second going into that second run. How opportune is that for her? And Prock, Schulte and Schwarz all in a line. Schulte, we believe, is going to the Olympics. Prock and Schwarz, crucially for them, ahead of Almayer in 11th. We'll confirm all of that in a moment as we see Taya Bayliss come over the line. But we never get long enough on the graphic ahead of the second run to explain quite how important it all is. And so I thought I'd just get ahead of the curve there. So Taya will wander off into the sunset and won't go again, but more great experience for her. And don't forget what should be a thrilling men's singles second run to come shortly. Amazingly, Taubitz only 9th. Bereiter is well placed for her. What will 6 turn into? But Frabel leads the way from Mark. Farquharson and Britcher also mega disappointing, 12th and 13th. Let's see as we head for the second run of the men's singles next. That Austrian slide-off takes centre stage as we see Bayliss and Hatton 29 and 26 here, but the men's singles second run could be one of the great 40 minutes or so of this World Cup season so far, and it is not too far away. It is coming your way in round about half an hour's time. 15:10 CET, men's singles second run. That's 28 minutes, don't miss it. We'll be back shortly.
And these curves are so fast. 10 to 11, we saw a ton of mistakes there this morning, and also here 11 as well. These sections are critical. And then you go way up in 13 and dive out onto this straightaway. You want to be on the right-hand side, going in for this 360-degree Kreisel, and then you cross the finish line.
The voice there of the two-time Olympian Mark Hatton, and here's the decel time. Saw earlier on with one of the women's singles athletes that you sometimes need to use that that final bit of help right at the end of the track. So this is what things look like. Remember, World Luge Day tomorrow, and it's a very special weekend as well. Down to 20 in the men's singles. It will absolutely fly by. Matt Greiner just made it by the skin of his teeth, nearly a second behind, but it's a top 10 where things get really interesting. Beyond Gintz, Berzins and Kaspers Riggs. Nursler and Gran Cagnolo head-to-head. Gleicher, Kindle, Gleicher head-to-head for 2 spots at the Olympics. Then Müller and Locke head-to-head, first and second. Couldn't be much more exciting. I cannot wait for the top 10 here, nor can he. The Julia Taubitz fan club will be hoping for more from their star. A little bit later on, she had a poor first run in the women's singles, although much, of course, can change. Great to see a fantastic crowd here for a very, very special weekend. Also this weekend here in Oberhof, the cross-country World Cup, the Nordic combined World Cup as well. It's all within walking distance. 15,000 spectators in all. There was a massive parade in the town square last night. This is proper winter sports. Great atmosphere and a great second run for the men to come. We start our second run then with Matt Greiner of the USA. He will be their third sled at the Olympic Games. Off the pace here, very much a Park City man. Wasatch Luge Club, Utah Olympic Park System. Did I say Utah? Utah Olympic Park System. I'm too excited. 6'1" he is. Big, powerful athlete, not having a great season, but enough to take him to the Olympic Games. Can he set some kind of standard as he goes under those sunshades, which are still there on our opening couple of turns? Greiner hoping to build some serious momentum here in more ways than one.
Matt Greiner of the USA off the back of a very successful junior career. See him stretching out there through these top curves. What an opportunity this is for the American slider. This will be when the track is at its fastest, when your first off is freshly spritzed, and it could be track record ice.
Big mistake from Greiner. Surely cost him time. We look at the time in relation to his first run. It's slower, and that's significant because it should have been quicker. It should have been quicker given the condition of the ice, and she knows it and he knows it, and I'm afraid Matt's struggles continue rather.
See, using the braking straight, such a great crowd we get here year in, year out in Oberhof. They love their winter sports here in Thuringia. Matt Greiner there, you see the position on the sled, stretching out, keeping his cool. That was where he bumped on really early, and you see him just get thrown up on the exit of 13. The ice rooster tailing out of the back of the sled. That did for Matt Greiner's time, which is a shame because the top of the track was really solid from the American.
That was a close one, dude.
It was close, Matt. His teammate goes next. Johnny Gustafsson next for the USA. The USA #1 sled ahead of those Olympic Games. Good results here in Oberhof last season, 12th and 18th, and already, as you would have expected him to be, quicker than Greiner at the top of the track, and he'll hope to keep building on that as he goes down.
On that high line, through 6 for Johnny. Now Johnny Gustafsson just gone from strength to strength this season. He's not used to being this end of the start list. Oberhof suits some people, doesn't suit others. I would say it's a real track. It's unlike any of the other tracks.
Laid back guy takes it all in his stride. Gustafsson comes around the Kreisel and takes the lead
Nice
by nearly 2 tenths.
Very nice.
Applause from his teammate. Gustafsson was always, I think, going to end ahead of Greiner. And Gustafsson will meet triumph and disaster with a big smile and waits to slow down before he does too many fist bumps, or else it could have ended badly.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good injury. Big start, Johnny Gustafsson, the USA Luge organization have got an incredible state-of-the-art start facility. You see that high line in 6, almost up to the roof, but he keeps his cool. Drops out. Say, takes it as it comes. He's a very relaxed slider. See him just get fired across to that right wall. But you see, he just keeps his nerve, keeps it exactly where it needs to be, parallel and on the right, going into the finish straight.
He didn't love it. Slower. just quicker rather than Greiner, but he expected better from himself there. Quicker than his first run, but then again, he should have been. Now Josip Ninis starting in 18th. This, the not phony war, but small war ahead of the serious battle that's to come in that top 10, and it will be the entire top 10. Only really Kasper's Rinks is sort of outside of all of the other subplots, but he'll be hoping to surge up that leaderboard. Here goes Ninis anyway, with an advantage over Gustafsson, and he maintains it, but only just over 200 ahead of the two Americans here, Ninis.
Well, Ninis is going to have to find something through the bottom section. Still in the green at that checkpoint. This is a track that suits Josip Ninis. He's been around a very long time. It suits the kind of tracks where he's fast on. Real luge tracks. And still 800ths of a second in the fight.
Yeah, 14th last January here, and first at the moment ahead of Gustafsson and Greiner. Gustafsson, I think, will just put this weekend down to experience. Sometimes you have to. And Ninis will hope that that run takes him a bit higher than 18th. Goodness me, he did go for the fist bump early and nearly made a mistake.
Yeah, Josip Ninis, one of the most experienced athletes on the tour. And he shows it when he's on tracks like Sigulda. He had a top 10 finish in Sigulda a few years ago. I think he was 6th. And then here, you see him, he knows he's on track, he knows he's on a good line, so he just lies back and maximizes the aerodynamics.
Next up, Alex Palazzo, the Australian from Townsville in Queensland. Part of that American program. 16 years he's been sliding, Alex Palazzo, and he's produced some decent results as well, including 14th here last January. And into the green numbers he goes against Ninis, but can he extend that advantage? Just over a 10th, well over a 10th in front of Ninis right now.
Oh, this is great from Palazzo. 1.5 tenths, just bumps onto the labyrinth, but 10-11's much, much better. It's a good 11-12 as well for Palazzo through the bottom section. Hasn't lost much time.
Palazzo into the Kreisel he goes then. Ninis the target here, and he's inside by 400, so very much the order staying the same right now. Don't know what Johnny's doing there. Enjoying himself, I think.
Yeah, adoring fans. That was a great run from the Australians, Alex Palazzo. You know, again, this is another guy that has top 5 potential. Came 5th in the World Championships 2 years ago in Altenburg. Another track that's very suited to luge. And you see him there just stretching out with the confidence. And then you saw here a little skid down the straightaway. He kept his calm. He put down a solid run for the Australian.
Here we go. It was faster. It was faster.
.16 to go, starting with the neutral athlete Matvei Peresteronin, who starts 0.150 clear of Alex Palazzo, the Australian. A reminder, we've got a bumper top 9 to come with so much that can still happen. Jonas Müller leading the way, but subplot after subplot behind him. Peresteronin just slightly extends that advantage by 1900ths here. 19 thousandths over Alex Palazzo. And again, just moving a little further clear. It's a good, nice, neat and tidy top of the track from Peresteronin.
Yeah, the neutral athlete is picking up time here. They say they've been away from Oberhof for a long time, these athletes. It's been 3 years since Peresteronin's been here. So he's had to relearn this track. He's picked up 2/10ths of a second on the lap.
Yeah, Peresteronin will go in front. Palazzo had led the way, but it's Peresteronin now who takes over. So, goodness me, it's extremely predictable at the moment. Everyone is usurping everyone else. Surely there's more drama to come here.
Well, that Austrian battle for Olympic places, we keep referencing it. That is going to be absolutely mouth-watering. What a battle that's going to be. You see here in 6, almost up to the roof. But again, Perez keeps his calm. This is a 10 to 11 transition. Again, a little late, but some good corrections from the neutral athlete.
So Anton Dukac of Ukraine will be followed by his teammate Andrei Manzi. Dukac with 0.05 of a second ahead of Perez. So a real chance for him to potentially build on that and go past Andrei Manzi if he can. Dukac, though, has lost a little bit of time at the start. Perez was excellent at the top of the track, so it's no great surprise. Dukac has his hands full here.
He really does, trying to chase down the neutral athlete. But this is a short track, even for the men from the top of the track. It's even shorter from the women's start. But this is an okay run from Dukac. He's doing everything he can. 11 to 12 is good. 13 to the Kreisel is going to be critical. It's good.
So Dukac around that Kreisel he goes. Trying to close in on Perez. Bans that left-hand wall. Perez becomes the first athlete in this second run to change places. He moves above Anton Dukac, who only had 5,000s on him and has lost that here significantly. So Manzi to go next. Perez still leads the way.
You do think after that fantastic exit 13 for Dukac that maybe he could have clawed it back. And you do wonder how much that sideways skid out of the finish curve over the line would have cost him. This is the line into 13. You see him just hang on to 13, but keeps his cool and gets that lovely smooth cross so he can go early and parallel into 14.
Now Manzi, the veteran, to go from 14. Kahala, Sokovic, Berzin's rinks to go, then it becomes nail-biting. But jockeying for position here, down just outside that top 10. That's what this is all about. Just how high can you go in this second run? And Manzi too has lost time on Perez, and Perez run is looking pretty good at the moment. Dukac already behind him, and now Manzi trailing him by just over 0.04 of a second here.
I do get the feeling that Manzi left some time out on the track in run number 1. Starting to slip away for Andrei Manzi. 15,000ths of a second he's got to find. He's making a good fight of this.
Saw a skid there a bit higher up the track from Manzi as he comes around the finishing Kreisel that Manzi is not going to get to Perez either, and the neutral athlete keeps leading the way.
Perez riding the elevator. Bring him a coat in a little bit, keep him warm. He continues like this. Not a bad run from Manzi, but as you say, there was a skid. Vladimir strokes the beard thoughtfully. You see this dropping out from 10 to 11. We see a lot of our athletes doing that this week. It's an expensive mistake, and that is the skid that would have cost him.
So next, a big run for Svante Kahala. We've seen his sister Tova fail to qualify for the second run of the women's singles. Svante still has that Olympic dream in his sights. It felt like he left time out there in that first run. His earlier start time kind of helped him. Now he has to make the most of this opportunity from 13. Could he get up into the top 10? Can he get into that top 12 and show that he has that potential? 6,000s outside Perez, but now back into those green numbers. A massive run here for Svante Kahala.
Just 9,000ths of a second to play with. Svante bumps onto curve 7, but gets away with it. Back in the green for Kahala. This is world-class sliding from the Swede. We got round 11. It's a good shot into 12. Just tags the right wall though. 13 exits critical.
Really quick from Kahala. Into Kreisel he goes. This is going to be crucial. The crucial Kreisel for Kahala. And he does it. He gets ahead of Perez by nearly 400ths. And Kahala, is that enough for him? You get the feeling it just might be.
Svante throwing down a real marker. That skid over the finish line would have cost him a wee bit. A good start from the big, strong Swede. And this was where the mistake happened in the labyrinth, just bumping on a little early between 8 and 9. And that bump onto 12 would also have cost him. But really a good run from the Swede and really making his case to the Swedish Olympic Committee in a very, very solid manner.
Mateusz Sokovic, 12 to go. The Pole in that position to go to Milan Cortina. Trying to prevent Kahala from moving any further up here. Sokovic looks nice and smooth from him so far.
Big hit before that curve there, though, that really affected Sokovic. Big hit before 5. When you make mistakes that high up the track, this is all going wrong for Mateusz Sokovic.
Got wrong for the moment. I said he was going well, to be honest. Sokovic now over a 10th outside the time of Svante Kahala. And Sokovic losing time all the time here. We just lost our camera angle momentarily, but either way, Sokovic is 5th. Svante Kahala does guarantee that he's going to be top 12 here, and that might be really, really important for him.
Well, missed opportunity for Sokovic for sure. But what a sign for the Swedish athlete that went before. It was a solid start from this very strong pole. But that was where the mistake happened, just before curve 5, bouncing on. There's no gradient to the mountain out of curve 5. So any time you lose in those upper curves, especially big curves like 5, it's just compounded. And Sokovic knew here his run was over before he even crossed the finish line.
Yeah, he's frustrated. Clearly see that from Sokovic. Still ahead of a few. 2 Latvians to go. Berzins, then Rinks, and then it's going to get mega interesting. Little Latvian battle though. Gintz Berzins goes first of all, with Kasper's Rinks to come straight after him. Berzin's first target is Svante Kahala, who currently leads the way. 11th and 12th in Oberhof here. Last season, can he get just a little bit higher than that? Yeah, Berzin's going really, really well here. Extending his advantage, and Berzins is going to take over by just inside half a second from Svante Kahala, who probably feels now that 12th is the best it could be. And, well, we'll see if it ends up that way, but 12 might well be good enough for him, too. So that was Berzins. His teammate, Kasper's Rinks, is in the top 10. Had a poor season, crashed out in Park City. Was only 15th in Winterberg, 24th in Lake Placid. He won the Nations Cup in Sigulda, was 8th then in the main race. That's his best result, 14th in Winterberg last week. Not good enough to be in the top 2 Latvian sleds ahead of those Winter Games, which have been everyone's focus. Happy odds. And Berzins very much the 1 and 2. Rinks trying to at least land a blow here, though, in Oberhof. And he's behind his teammate Berzins by nearly 2/10.
I think that shows what a great run it was from Berzins. Rinks hasn't done too much wrong at this point. He's good. And it looks like he's going to hang on the exit. He does. He skips into 12, gets the sled back under control. But he's late into 13.
He's throwing away time, isn't he? Kasper's Rinks. It's a real shame because this was a chance to make some kind of statement. He's second, but he loses that place to Berzins, and now, as there are 9 to go, it gets nail-bitingly good. First, the 2 Germans go one after the other, and then it's going to be the Austrian slide-off. Watch this very, very carefully.
These subplots, these inter-team rivalries, we say that phrase week in, week out. But this is where it all comes to a head, as we see that mistake before 12 puts him into a skid. Did well to get the sled back under control on curve 12. Put down a decent 13-14 transition, but the damage was done further up the track.
Now we don't know the German internal politics. We do know there are 9 points between this man, Nörsler, and Grancagnolo, who goes next. Nörsler is the one with the advantage at the moment. That's frozen the Olympic time. That can't be changed, that's standing, but maybe the inter-team position can be, so maybe they're sliding off against each other. First Nörsler with 9 thousandths advantage over Grancagnolo. He needs to absolutely fly down here and put the pressure on his teammate. He's outside the time of Berzins at the moment, though, Nörsler.
Nörsler trying to chase it down. He stabilized the time at that checkpoint, was just a couple of thousandths back, but he's dropped back even more. This has to be a perfect bottom section.
Drop yet more time. Over a tenth now outside the time of Berzins. It might just open the door this for Grancagnolo. It does, because Berzins is still in front. Nörsler second, and Grancagnolo will go next, and a big shake of the head for David Nörsler. Now we don't know the discussions in the German team, but has that just cost him a place at the Olympics?
There wasn't too much wrong with that run from Nörsler, I think. But the start, little mistake there. And there's also shots through the labyrinth, but these are mistakes that a lot of the athletes are making. Very few people are getting an inch-perfect labyrinth. But I think this just shows what a great run that Berzins put down.
Timon Grancagnolo with an advantage of just over 600ths of a second on his teammate, David Nörsler, who was not perfect, is in second at the moment. This could be for a place at the Olympics. Grancagnolo is outside Nörsler on the list, but by the narrowest of margins, by 9 points. So if he beats him here, it could be persuasive. Andy's ahead, but he's lost time, just 5 thousandths now. And into the red, Grancagnolo goes. Maybe Nörsler's run was better than I thought here, because Grancagnolo is just losing time on him. That Berzins run was magnificent, and Nörsler not too far behind. Mistake from Grancagnolo.
Huge mistake out of 10 to 11. That's going to cost Grancagnolo for sure. How much, we don't know. Still only 2 tenths back, but will it show on the next checkpoint?
Grancagnolo outside Nörsler, and surely Berzins, by the way, still leads. He's loving this. Surely you feel Nörsler, having finished above Grancagnolo here, will go ahead of him. Grancagnolo knows the door might well have been open, and I'm afraid he's missed it. It's slammed shut on Timon Grancagnolo with that big mistake.
2 paddles on the start from Grancagnolo against that big muscular frame in the sled. That was a mistake. Into 10. That is a scary place to be. Feet up to the roof. Managed to get it back together, but when the sled's going sideways, you're cutting so much ice. This shot from the exit of 13 just shows what Grancagnolo's capable of. Probably one of the best transitions from 13 to 14 we've seen.
Timon Grancagnolo's won gold in the under-23 men's singles. The race within a race, Kasper's rinked silver. Dylan Morse of Great Britain has the bronze ahead of Bruno Mick and Rasmus Moberg. Now, though, goes Nico Gleicher. And this is the beginning of the Austrian slide-off. Remember, Müller is definitely going to the Olympic Games. The next 3 in a row sliding off for the final 2 Austrian places. They can only take 3 sleds, and this will define who it will be. Nico Gleischer is currently outside Wolfi Kindl and his brother David Gleischer, so he is the one who needs to make up time, and that looks pretty good so far.
Nico Gleischer handling the pressure thus far. 13 late in, has to make a correction, but it's good. This Kreisel is going to be critical, can't skid across the line.
Little skid from Gleischer, but enough to take over from Berzins. But that's not the whole story. It's all about what comes next. Kindl and David Gleischer still to go. By the way, the message I received that told me Gran Cagnolo had gold in the under-23 has just been withdrawn. So hold that thought for a moment and I'll let you know. But this is the run of Nico Gleischer again.
Couple of big mistakes from Gleischer. He did leave time out there. But then, as we know, put out some glorious lines elsewhere on the track. That little skid across the finish line, it's expensive. How expensive? This is so tight between these Austrians.
Kindl, who, remember, will be at a men's double sled to go next. He desperately wants to be part of the singles picture, though. He has the advantage of just under 200ths on Nico Gleischer. This couldn't be much more dramatic. Kindl has to try and maintain that advantage, because if he does, he is definitely at the Olympic Games, because he's ahead of one of them, doesn't matter about the other. And Kindl is in those green numbers here, has to stay as mistake-free as possible, has to avoid any big errors here, Wolfi Kindl. He's doing that at the moment.
It's a big hit before 11, but he gets away with it, falls off into 12. This is right down to the wire, just 500 per second for Kindl. He dives out of 13 to 14. It's looking good, and he's building the lead. Wolfgang Kindl with the advantage by 1/10 of a second.
So Kindl moves ahead of Nico Gleischer. David Gleischer to come. Kindl has done enough. And what this means is it comes down to the 2 brothers. It's as simple as that. It will be Müller, it will be Kindl, and it will be one of the Gleischers. Couldn't be much more brutal than that.
Wolfi Kindl doesn't make many mistakes. Just a little bump on there. He slides twice as much as everybody else. He does doubles as well. And that race head, that cool head, coming to the fore.
So remember that. The time of Nico Gleischer, 0.106. Behind Kindl, that is what matters right now, because here's his brother, David Gleischer. If he gets within that, stays within that, then he too will be heading for the Olympic Games. Here we go, Gleischer aiming for that time of Kindl, and he stays in those green numbers at the top of the track. If he stays ahead of Kindl, of course, he's comfortably guaranteed, but if he goes outside and into red numbers, he can still make the Olympic Games. Gleischer on his way to usurping his brother here.
Well, into team and into family rivalry, this is looking good, just dropping off 11 into 12. He's only got 300ths to play with and skids.
So a skid there from David Gleischer. It's going to be tight here as he heads over the line, but he takes the lead. So David Gleischer and Wolfi Kindl win the Austrian slide-off. It looks like Nico Gleischer is going to be the unlucky one. Nico currently higher than the other 2 in the World Cup standings. Go figure. It'll be Müller, Kindl, and David Gleischer.
And you have have that much depth in your team. Sport can be so cruel. Nico didn't do too much wrong. Just dropped the wrong side of the clock. Look at this exit 13 from David Gleischer. Loses traction, but keeps his car, manages to stop the skid.
Gleischer goes. The world champion is Max Langenhans. 3 to go after him. By the way, to confirm, Gran Cagnola, Rinks and Morse, gold, silver and bronze in that European Under-23 Championship. In terms of the European Championship, it will be down to the athletes that we're watching anyway. There's no involvement in the leaderboard from outside Europe. Langenhan inside David Gleischer at the moment, but again, remember, Apeyot's Lot and Müller still to come. Müller with a big advantage after that track record. So Langenhan is really looking for a place on the podium here.
Langenhan, this looks like Langenhan of last season. Run to run, style changes. Looking good though, 1.5 tenths. 12 to 13 is good, and it's a straight shot into 14, just a little nudge.
Just inside, 2 tenths clear then. Langenhan over the finish line he goes. That's really good from Langenhan. Bindel leads the applause. Langenhan gives himself a chance here, the fastest run of this second run so far. Langenhan delighted with that 42.311 for Max Langenhan.
Just outside the track record as well, just by a couple of thousandths or a couple of hundredths. That was a start from Langenhan. Powerful athlete, long arms, managed to drag that sled forward through the ice on the start. And this was the exit 13. It looked good. He just drifted a little bit. You saw him just get knocked away and then had to push it back in to get early onto the Kreisel. But then that exit Kreisel was solid from Langenhan. And the time was good.
Coming next, Christos Apeyot. See his advantage, over a tenth for the Latvian. Place on the podium potential, maybe better for Apeyot. But that time from Langenhan has put pressure here on Apeyot, the athlete just above him. He's lost a little bit of that advantage, just 8 thousandths of a second. But Apeyot's going well up at the top of the track, negotiating it pretty smoothly right now. And you can see the advantage drops again just a little bit, but Apeyot's going well.
It was an excellent run from Max Langenhan. But it's a good cushion that Apeyot has got, just hits into curve 11. 12's good though. How much is that going to cost him? It's dropped. It's only 700ths of a second.
Apeyot 8 thousandths outside. Can he catch up Langenhan? It was so quick in the prize and he can't. Langenhan has just found out that he maintains the advantage. So Langenhan is going to be back where he always believes he belongs, on the podium. That will be 5 of 6 podiums this season for Max Langenhan, and Apeyot knows that is a chance gone. The margins are so fine. Apeyot's though 4th fastest so far in this second run.
Such fine margins. Huge error from Christos Apeyot here in the 11th, just hanging out there, bouncing on early to 10. You saw the ice come out at the back of the sled, and how high he was, and then the mistake compounded into 11. He had a good cushion, almost 2 tenths, but then that mistake just went from bad to worst.
Langenhan with a big smile. His teammate, Felix Long, a World Cup leader by a single point, goes next. You can see his advantage over Langenhan, 0.162, but again, we know how quick Max Langenhan was. So locked still with his hands full. He's already lost a little bit of that advantage.
This is where the tactics come in. Do you sit on your lead, or do you try to extend? We know Locke's a fighter. We know he's an aggressive athlete, but we also know at 37 years old, he has a lot of experience and a very wise head. This is looking really good for Felix Lock into 13.
Yeah, Lock so quick down at the bottom of the track. That really is his trademark, and he is surely going to get past Langenhan. He is, and Langenhan looks happier than anyone. Felix Lock extends that advantage, and now the pressure is on Jonas Müller after the track record in the first run. You wouldn't put it past him to break it again. Lock, only 14 thousandths outside Müller's track record, grabs the lead, but for how long? He couldn't have done any more.
That was Lock of years gone by. Had a sluggish start to the season, Felix Lock, I felt. Just wasn't quite right. And then the last 3 races has gone back to the Felix Lock of old. Now that curve 10 just hanging up in the exit. Very similar mistake to Christos Apiods, but Lock just riding it out, carrying the speed. And look at that position.
Oh, that's nice. But now the focus shifts to Jonas Müller going for another win. Look at the advantage, just under 800. So don't think anything is guaranteed. These margins are absolutely tiny. He wants to take over at the top of the standings, second at the moment. One last week in Winterberg, one in Park City as well, second in Sigulda. It's been a fabulous run. Can he win here again in Oberhof? Müller remains in those green numbers. You would expect him to seal the deal. In fact, he's extended his advantage here.
This is great stuff from Müller. Little problem before 6. It's bouncing on, but it's going well for Müller still. This next checkpoint is going to tell a tale. Well in the lead, over a 10th into 13.
Müller still with that big advantage, still over a 10th, going into Kreisel. Surely enough for Müller towards the finish line. He goes and he does it. And Lock leads the applause, and look at that. Track record goes again. He blows away the track record twice in the same event. Jonas Müller, absolutely magnificent, goes top of the World Cup standings and will be favourite, going to Milan Cortina. Müller on fire.
He has not put a foot wrong this year. It started with the Olympic test race, which he won, and won convincingly. Just a couple of small errors down here in curve 6. You saw him just come up on the exit. But really, as we've seen week in, week out this season, Jonas Müller with highlight reel stuff.
So Müller wins from Lock and Langenhan. Apiods ends up off the podium in 4th. And David Gleicher and Wolfi Kindl win that Austrian race-off. There's the Austrian team. Absolutely delighted, of course, with a win here for their man. Can anything stop Jonas Müller? Big smile on his face. Track record ×2, that takes some doing. And Lock hands it over, I love it. He knows that Müller is now the man who leads the way. Might need a bigger one than that, but there you go. Jonas Müller takes over as World Cup leader here in Oberhof, and will slide again here next week. Müller wins the men's singles from Lock, from Langenhan, from Apiods. Gleicher wins the Austria slide-off. Kindl is second, and Gleicher, Nico that is, misses out. Svante Kahala lower down, maybe does enough to make the Olympic Games for Sweden. But it's Jonas Müller's day. What a picture, what a crowd here in Oberhof as we get our presentations. Don't forget the women's singles to follow. They're going to be fun as well. Merle Frabel leading the way. Can she come up with 2 track records, I wonder? Here's Felix Lok, who very graciously handed over that World Cup leaders bib. The two Germans have to hand over and bow down to the new European champion Jonas Müller, who takes over as World Cup leader.
Die Blumen werden überreicht von Einars Vorgelis, dem Präsidenten der FIL, von Katja Wolf, der stellvertretenden Ministerpräsidentin und Ministerin für Finanzen des Freistaats Thüringen,
from Langenham. 5 out of 6 podiums. Will it be enough going to Milan Cortina, I wonder? Will it be podium or better? But not just Müller, but Müller and Lok are the two athletes to beat in Italy.
Jonas Müller, Europameister 2026, Silber für Felix Lok, Bronze für Max Langenham. Und wir sind ja immer noch nicht fertig.
Nice picture that.
16:15.
The three who dominated this season, really. Langenham not, of course, the manner he did last season, but he's still been so consistent. In terms of the overall picture, Müller will take over from Lok. Langenham will stay in third. Nico Gleicher might be fourth, but it won't be enough for a place in the Olympic Games. We'll hear from our winner, and we'll hear the fanfare as well. There's the final result. Just about extended the margin with that track record. 2 track records mean Jonas Müller's the winner. Felix Lok and Max Langenham, a German 2-3. Krista Zappa-Yod's a Latvian, just misses out. And then 3 further Austrians in a row, but Nico Gleicher losing in that Olympic slide-off. So great drama in Oberhof. Time to hear from those who took part. Or not. Julia Tabitz's fan club will be interested in the women's singles, which aren't too far away. She's got an awful lot to do, though, coming from 8th place in the first run. Great atmosphere. It really is. Very, very special winter sports weekend in Oberhof. Jonas Müller carrying all before him with a sensational display.
Congratulations, a European champion again here on this track. You seem to like this track, right?
Yeah, I do like it here. I mean, I have great memories here in Oberhof. I became world champion here a few years ago, and every time I'm here, it's really fun. The crowd is amazing, and yeah, I just love it here.
You seem to have 2 pretty controlled runs. Was there anything that didn't go as planned?
I mean, second run was, yeah, I had a little bump before 12, but I have so much, I trust my sled so much, so I can just let it run, even though it's not a perfect line. So super happy about that. Thanks to the trainers and coaches. Thank you.
So Müller, the champ, again in Oberhof. Great shot there. Very much the man, and you can see Müller go on that side. She will be going. In the
Felix, congratulations here on the podium in Oberhof. At home, in front of this crowd, it must feel great, right?
Yeah, it's amazing here. Oberhof always. It's a so great race, and yeah, today, yeah, second place. I'm really happy with this race and with this result. And so yeah, next week another race here in Oberhof, and then yeah, we will see a little bit colder. But yeah, today it's amazing to slide here with and to celebrate with the fans here, and also in the evening with the big ceremony. So yeah, it's really cool, and I like it here really much. Thank you.
Mentioned that great town square ceremony from last night. Makes them feel are the most important athletes in the world. Are we going to hear from Langenhan? Let's hope so. Yeah, here he is.
Max, congratulations. Congratulations to the podium here. First run didn't go quite as planned, I guess, but the second run was pretty good, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what is like the difference between first and second run because I didn't change anything. I was driving, I think, 2/10 faster. But in the end, yeah, I'm super happy to be on the podium again. Thank you.
It's a short and sweet from all three of them. The women's singles second run with Frabel and Marg going for gold. Remember, going for European Championship medals too. But Müller, the champion again here. And a very warm welcome to Oberhof. We're at the Lotto Thüringen Ice Arena in the Thüringen Forest in the center of Germany. Great atmosphere here. Around about 15,000 fans for a very, very special winter sports weekend. It's World Luge Day tomorrow as well, but also this weekend here, the Cross Country World Cup, the Nordic Combined World Cup as well. But of course, our focus right here, right now, is the luge. We've seen a stunning display from Jonas Müller. Twice track record in both men's singles runs to win it. And he is hot favourite for here next week and indeed for those Olympic Games at Milan. Remember, he won the test event there as well. Our focus switches to the women's singles here. The temperature, it's getting a little cooler in Oberhof, 4.7 degrees ahead of the women's singles. And the women's singles could be fascinating. Merle Frabel leading the way. Natalie Marg, who needed a big display, has produced one. And she's second. Hannah Prock in third. Merle Frabel with a track record in that first run. It has all been happening. And let's take a look at what lies in wait for our women's singles athletes. It's shorter, 946 meters, a 93-meter vertical drop. Their maximum speed estimated at 122, and 11 rather than 14 corners to be negotiated. Starting with that tricky opening C4, and then they very quickly head down and gather momentum into that 8 to 11 combination, then finishing on the Zielkurve, the Kreisel, up to the finish. Looks simple, most certainly isn't. Some big names struggling as well. Taubitz in 9th ahead of the second run. Farquharson and Pritchard 12th and 13th. A continuing sense that anything can happen. And we can take a look now at our POV.
Straight into curve 4 for the women. This is where it's so important to be smooth. You're not going too fast at this point, so you have to be smooth and error-free. Otherwise, those errors mount up down the track. This is the labyrinth, 9 to 10. This is where the curves get short and the sled gets faster. And then you get fired across into curve 12. Look how high this curve is. Curve 13, almost up to the roof. And then a straight shot down the labyrinth on the right-hand side into this Kreisel. It keeps going round, trying to cross the finish line without getting slammed into the labyrinth.
So Mark Hatton, our two-time Olympian, talking us through what the athletes face. And that's the beauty from one of our drone shots of this course here in Oberhof. You can see the track there, frequently renovated over the years. A great sense of Wintersports in the area. All of those events I mentioned within walking distance. The cross-country World Cup, the Nordic combined. Here's our women's singles second run, going all the way down to Schwarz and Schulte and Prock and Marg and Frebel. And we understand that Schwarz and Prock need to stay clear in second and third in terms of that Olympic qualifying. But Barbara Almayer starting in 11, really, that us need to stay error-free, don't they? Schwarz and Prock. Schulte already going. There are the Taubitz fans, and they know that Julia has an awful lot to do. It'll be Juliana Tunitska to get things underway. She's ready. The second run of the women's singles at Oberhof starts here with the Ukrainian Juliana Tunitska. They go, remember, in reverse order, all the way to the new track record holder, Merle Frebel. For Tunitska, it'll be about finishing as high as she can, about trying to force her way into the top 15. Our unlikely top 20 athlete, Yesun Jung, comes next, but first, Juliana Tunitska of Ukraine on fresh ice here after the spritz, to try and set the tone, to try and set a time.
Well, what an advantage for Tunitska to really show her federation, show the world what she's capable of. She's stood at the top of the podium before in juniors. She was the junior world champion. This is that long curve that goes along to 12. And then 12 to 13. It's so high in this curve. And then they dive out down that straight.
See Tunitska at 112 kilometers per hour. She comes around the finishing Kreisel. 124.579. Quicker than her first time. Then again, as we always say, it should be 42.245. But that's a really good run from Tunitska, and she looks absolutely delighted with that.
That really was big improvement on her first run. She's had a good day today, Tunitska. A lot of the testing's been done on the sleds now in the early races, so now it's just time for the athletes to actually slide. That was 10 to 11. We see this transition here into 13. Such a huge, impressive curve, and such an important exit that goes onto that straightaway where you have to be millimeters left.
Next up, after a tremendous first run, Yesun Jung into the top 20. Really impressive. Can she produce another good run here? It hasn't started well. That's a slow start that's cost her plenty of time. She's outside a 10th outside the time of Tunitska already. Maybe a sign of just how slick, just how good Tunitska was.
Indeed, that was a gorgeous run from Tunitska. Not so bad from Yesun Jung. High on confidence right now. That was good, but very high on the exit of 11. Gets away with it. 12 to 13 is clean, but she's got a lot of time to make up.
She made up a little bit of it here, Jung. She comes around the Kreisel and swings a little to the left. Oh, she's done it. She's got it. Tunitska. An outstanding bottom of the track there. All the mistakes left behind her, and Jung goes in front of Tunitska. Wasn't expecting that.
No, that Kreisel. Hopefully we see that again. It was a perfectly flat line through the Kreisel. Managed to find some speed there. But it looked like she was going to run out of track. Remember, it's just under 1,000 meters long. But this is where she was really pushing. But look at that line through Kreisel. I would say the best we've seen all day from any athlete.
And the logic is, isn't it, the flatter the line, the less distance you travel, the less chance of losing speed at a critical point of the course. And that's why she made up the time in a sport of milliseconds. Trinity Ellis now for Canada. The second Canada sled ahead of her compatriot Caitlin Nash by 7 points on that Olympic qualifying list. She looks to stay inside the time of Jürgen, and she will be targeting her teammates Susko and Nash. Susko just ahead of her, Nash in 14th after the first run. It's good so far, this, from Trinity Ellis, making use of still relatively fresh ice.
This is so close between these three Canadians. This is into team competitions, but she just drops out into 12, falls off the end of 11, gets it back together. Still in the green? Yes, she is.
She's in the green, but she's lost a little bit of time. We'll see if that's been compounded around the Kreisel hit. Oh! Bounce into that left-hand wall. She lost some more, but Ellis does take over.
Well, that was a big hit on the exit for Trinity Ellis. Went very high on the exit of Kreisel, slammed into that left wall, flew over the finish line. And then the labyrinth was a little choppy. It's a line in 13, dropping down. 11 to 12, falling off as well. But that is going to leave a bruise for sure for Trinity Ellis. Could have done enough, though, to chase down her teammates.
You know what I keep thinking? Every time I see those Kreisels, the awkward ones, I keep thinking team relay. Good luck hitting that button if you negotiate the Kreisel like that. Ember Susko next. She has just over 100th of a second, 13 thousandths if you like to play with, over her teammates Trinity Ellis. Nash with a bit more in hand, but not a whole lot more. Susko straight away into red numbers. She trails by 4 thousandths. It's going to be mighty tight here between the two teammates.
Ember put down a good run. A little away from curve 7 there. This is a curve that sets everything up. Curve 8. See these curves come really fast. And this is great for Susko. Hopefully we see that on the clock. Still 23 thousandths per second.
Nice and controlled and composed. So far from Susko, but all over the place there. She was in those green numbers. Will she stay there? Has she lost speed? She has, but she makes it. She makes it ahead of Ellis, and in fact, she gained time on the run.
Well, if you want to talk about a cool head, that was it. That exit from 13 was brutal. But Ember Susko took the hit, stayed relaxed, and managed to get the sled back straight, not skidding. And it showed on the clock in the end. Great shot at the start. See how they go. They have to get on the sled so quickly. And this was that line into 13 where she dropped down early and then just popped back up on the exit. Very lucky not to flip there. Takes a hit on the wall, but then keeps her calm. Trinity Ellis on tenterhooks in the finish box.
Zane Kaluma of Latvia to go next. From 16th, 15 athletes to go. After her, she will not be heading for the Olympic Games with Botta and Apayoda ahead of her in those rankings. Kaluma trying to chase down Susko though. And just over, significantly over, a 10th of a second. The advantage here for Kaluma over Susko. Oleszczyk and then Nash. And then Pritchard and Van Brandt to go after Kaluma. Oh, massive skid! Can she somehow keep hold of it? No, she can't! No, she can't, and all you do now is worry about her and hope she's going to be okay. She lost control, Kaluma, and now she tries to stay as still as she can. And there's a little bit of nervous tension around the crowd. Kaluma looked to be moving, looked to be all right there, and here she is back to her feet, but wow, that was worrying for a moment, Mark.
It really was. Those mistakes into 12. It's such a big curve. There's so much real estate for it to go wrong. Here we see the exit, and just bumps on, sends her into that skid. Now when that happens and the feet go up the curve, that G-force is almost pushing you up to the roof. You come down, but when the curve's not finished, there's still pressure in that curve. Brings you back up, and that's what threw her face first into curve 13. It's a big hit. So good to see her okay with that 25-kilogram sled slamming onto her back. But looks like she's getting out on the track. The main thing that's hurt is her pride.
No, I think she actually did incredibly well. I think she held on for a little moment there and almost had it pinned to her back to make sure it couldn't do her any damage. Incredible grace under pressure there. Thankfully, she's okay, Kaluma. Here goes Oleshik. And you have to follow that. Not that she's seen it, but you have to follow that knowing someone in front of you has crashed. But away Oleshik goes, trying to put pressure here on those who go next. 15 athletes remain. Oleshik with a big advantage over Susko. Over 0.3 of a second for the neutral athlete here, hoping to avoid that mistake that Zane Kaluma made.
High curves. Can cause so many problems for these athletes unless they're putting together a decent bottom section here. Get back into the finish line.
Oleshik has built on her advantage here, and it's a good straight line. That's outstanding. That really is from Oleshik. She's built so much time, nearly half a second, and that's not surprisingly the fastest of our second runs so far. Well, it would have had a couple of places higher, 13th in the first run, but that's really good from Oleshik.
She really built that lead up. Top section was super clean from Oleshik. And then when that happens, if you can just go vaguely clean through the longer bottom curves, that advantage just multiplies and multiplies down the track. You see her taking it off Kreisel with all her power there.
Getting sick of the X-Files music. Me too. Caitlin Nash goes next. The advantage, 18 thousandths over our current leader, Daria Oleshik. Nash, the top Canadian here so far and wants to remain it. In those green numbers at the top, 5 thousandths now is the advantage though over Oleshik. Caitlin Nash needs to find some rhythm and find some momentum here, and into the red numbers she goes. Tiny margins back into the green. This is going to be tight.
You know how close this is going to be. How much will that indecision on the start across Caitlin Nash? You saw her thinking whether to go for another paddle, it looked like. Just a split second ahead of hesitation. 2 thousandths of a second.
2 thousandths the difference. Into Kreisel here. Nash is second. Skips over the line. Oleshik still maintains her advantage. Nash just losing out by over 300. It's a poor second run. It's still the second fastest at the second time of asking, but Oleshik was too good for her there.
You do wonder how much that exit finish curve where they hit behind, that's a mistake on the start, just a hesitation, and then had to take evasive action. But looking at that exit finish curve and those sideways skids across the line with the tiny margins we're seeing this weekend, you do wonder how many races are being won and lost over that finish.
And you do wonder again about the team relay, just saying.
But that is going to be so much action. It's going to be incredible. Trying to hit that touchpad after taking an impact like that.
The thing is, there's no real way of getting up early, which is often what they do. They lose a bit of time to make sure they hit it. That's going to be hard. Summer Bridge is third in our World Cup standings, but 13th here after the first run. Remember, third in the World Cup standings despite missing a race in Wintersport. First one of the season, so it's been a remarkable campaign for her so far, and she's already well inside Oleshik, but that's not what she's bothered about. She wants to make up some time. She wants to have a brilliant second run to try at least to get into the top 10 here.
And it's so important for these athletes, especially if they're in that seeded group of 12, to stay in that seeded group. Going into the Olympics, big come down between 11 and 12 for Pritchard. That's going to leave a dent.
Not a course she likes, is it, this Summer Bridge? Goodness me. As she comes around the final turn now, can she even get ahead of Oleshik? Just by 12 thousandths, Summer Bridge. But again, not up to her usual high standards, but when you look at last season and where she finished here, 14th and 15th, and she's going to be above that, it's just not somewhere she enjoys sliding.
You do feel Summer Britcher's just an out-and-out speed merchant. Loves those fast, long tracks with the long curves. See, it's just out of 11, rising up on the exit, and then bumping on before 12.
Next is Farquharson, just ahead of her teammate by 4 thousandths. What can Farquharson do? Another US athlete who's much lower down than she would normally expect to be. She's already lost that sliver of time she had, but she has it back. In fact, she's increased it by 300ths now. So Farquharson is right now ahead of Britcher. She'll be hoping, aiming for top 10 here, Ashley Farquharson.
What an opportunity for Ashley to become the top-ranked American this weekend. Emily Fishner staying away. This track works out for Netta, so she avoids it. Great run so far from Farquharson.
Yeah, Farquharson around the Kreisel now, but into the lead she goes. Britcher goes up to that podium and then will have to leave it straight away, or at least be joined by her teammate. So Ashley builds on her advantage with a really good second run, the fastest we've seen. Summer Britcher, by the way, only 4th fastest in terms of the second runs so far. Oleshik and Nash both quicker than her.
That's that labyrinth we talk about. Curve 9 just falling off there. But an athlete of Farquharson's caliber, he just soaks it up. Didn't cost her a quarter of a second to the good. Almost all the way down the track.
Barbara Almayer needs everything to be absolutely perfect and needs some slip-ups from her teammates. It's 1,000 to 1 shot, really. She has 5 thousandths ahead of our leader, Farquharson. She's going to need to get something close to track record to put any pressure, really, on those above her, Schwartz and Brock. And it would be extremely unlikely. She's into the red numbers already, and that's in comparison with Farquharson. Almayer already well over a 10th behind. Any tiny Olympic dream she had, I think, are now fading fast.
Well, it's smooth, but Brock's not a great little skid into 12 as well. 1.5 tenths. Where 13, 14 has to be a straight shot. It's good, but I think she's running out of track.
She ran out of it a while ago, I think. Almayer second. And nothing wrong with that. Farquharson takes over. She splits the 2 Americans. Almayer. Farquharson edging closer to that top 10 with a big smile on her face. But Almayer will be watching the Olympics on the television, I think.
Well, it just shows that depth, what Austrian luge fans have to look forward to when you have a caliber athlete like Barbara Almayer staying home. She's got very high in the exit of 12, but the correction she did was absolute first class. But that cost Barbara Almayer.
Yeah, in the overall standings, remember Austria are 1st, 4th and 5th in the World Cup standings right now. That's how good they are. Fischer, outside of the German picture to emphasize how good they are. But she'd love a top 10 here to back up a good time of it in Winterberg last week. That top 20 finish for her there. Here she comes then, Fischer. Inside Farquharson she goes, and if she stays there, she's guaranteed, at worst, 10th place here, which would be a real achievement for her after a quiet season so far.
One of those athletes always on the cusp of this hugely competitive German team. Just 18 thousandths in front of Farquharson. Expect that to drop. She bounces through from 11 to 12. But she's gained a tiny bit. This is going to come down to the wire. 13 entrants is good.
Excellent though from Fischer so far. 7,000 as she goes into the red. Farquharson targeting the top 10. Has Fischer got back in front? No! Top 10 for Ashley. Cowbells ringing. The USA gets some success here in their chance here.
Really did. Tiny mistakes through the labyrinth, especially. Hanging on, curve 10. See if it bounce on to 11. Doesn't look like much, but it's an expensive mistake on the clock. That's the result on the exit. Fall off 11, get thrown a wee bit early into 12, and then you're playing catch-up. She had a great prize, but then that skid over the finish line again from another athlete. You just wonder, was that the
Taubitz from 9th. Can she put a dent in any of those above her? They'll be looking nervously over their shoulders. Taubitz already with an advantage over Farquharson, but she hopes to build on that. Great success historically here in Oberhof, but a really poor first run by her high standards.
This looks more like it. She had some little mistakes on the top on run number 1. This is more like the Taubitz we're used to seeing. It's smooth, easy on the eye. She goes into 12, and she's building on that lead, almost 7/100ths up.
Over a tenth of a second clear now, Taubitz. She's surely going to go into the lead. She does, by nearly 2/10. The fastest of our second run so far, and a time that would have had her second in the first run. It is mega quick from Taubitz. 41.535.
So for Julia Taubitz, normal service has resumed after that uncharacteristic first run. Done a couple of them this season. First going into a start set, tiny margins to save, but then putting on the afterburners into a Kreisel, just getting pushed across early down that straightaway, but deals with it with a calm head.
That tells us Riga University marking that it's Candia Apayoda. 2 Latvian athletes to go in a row here. First Apayoda and then Alina Botta. She only had 2/1000ths over Taubitz, who has just produced a remarkable second run. If Apayoda can stay ahead of Taubitz, that will be something else. And you know what? She slightly extended that advantage with an excellent start to this second run for Apayoda. Can she maintain it? She's got nearly 600ths now, an advantage over Taubitz.
Well, here's another athlete that left some serious time on the track on run number 1. Looks like she may slip into the red after that. She does, back by 300ths. So this transition to Kreisel has to be perfect. It's not. Has to drop the feet.
It's a long way from perfect. This shows us just where Taubitz made up all the time as well. Apayoda is 5th. Taubitz, beyond that start, was like lightning.
Well, certainly a weekend to forget for Apayoda. You know how good she can be. Lots of mistakes on that run. That was the labyrinth, just hanging on to curve 9. And you fall out like that, throws you up late in the exit of 10, and that's the result. And then out of 13 down the straightaway. See her just get fired towards the crowd on that right wall. Has to drop the feet, and that's the skid that's so expensive.
So, Alina Botta, and again, the target is a difficult one. It's Taubitz trying to come through the field here. Botta roared down that start ramp from her coaching team. This isn't what matters. She's got over 2/10ths over Taubitz. It's from now onwards where Taubitz started to pick up time. Can Botta stay in those green numbers? She's maintaining at the moment. Over 2/10ths clear.
And then Botta been a little hot and cold this year. This is a good 10-11. That's going to build. Gets the crossover into 12, just a little late. Gets away with it. 13 looks good as well. This is putting together a beautiful run.
You can see though that she's losing time. Has she held on enough here? Bottom! No! No! The mistake in the proposal cost her. She was losing and losing time, and then she loses too much. And Taubitz's march continues here. 6 to go.
Another example of an athlete that did all the hard work. All of those super technical labyrinth curves were absolutely millimeter perfect. But then through the bottom of the track, here we go into 13. So just hang on the exit. Breaks away. Flies over the finish line. That exit Kreisel causing so many problems this week.
She's still second. Good runs from Taubitz and Farquhar, and they're 1 and 2 on the second run. Anna Bereiter to come next, and she has been the queen of the second run the last couple of weekends. Surging in both Sigulda and Winterberg. Can she surge from 6th? She has that advantage, 800ths over Taubitz. Focused and serious, and knowing exactly what the target is, and knowing there could be top 5 out there for her if she can get this right. Just a reminder, it's not necessarily this part of the track where Taubitz gained all the time. Bereiter has already gained a little bit over. It's from now on where Taubitz was so quick.
Good into 8. That sets her up well for the labyrinth. 11, one of the best we've seen. Anna Bereiter looks like more of the same. Stabilize the time though. Very, almost goes too early to 13, gets away with it.
Still hands off to disadvantage. It's narrowed a little bit. Has she come on enough here? Bereiter, yes! She goes above her teammate. She maintains the advantage. In fact, she extends it. By 5,000, she was quicker than Taubitz on the second run. And that might just set Bereiter up for something special. The 2 German athletes absolutely flying on the second run.
Anna Bereiter, 12-13 transition. Millimeters between triumph and disaster. Really was so close, racing on the edge from top to bottom. This is where the mistake was going into 12. Not a big one. But then she went so early to 13. Almost hit the wall before 13. But got away with it and got that gorgeous straight shot into the finish curve.
Well done to Anna. That's a great run. And Julia too. Superb on the second run. Now, top 5. Schwarz, Schulte, Prock. 3 Austrians in a row before Marg and Frebel. Has Bereiter done enough for the podium? She may yet have done, because both Taubitz and Bereiter have produced outstanding times here. Just outside Frebel's new track record. Here goes Schwarz. Will the track record go again? You can see Schwarz is in those red numbers here, just emphasizing how quick Bereiter was. But back into the green she goes. It's going to be one of those runs.
It really is, and Schwarz bumping on to 10. That's going to cost her a wee bit. 11 to 12 good though, 27,000. This is coming down to the wire. Exit's got to be perfect. It's not.
She loses more time into the Kreisel. Schwarz needs to find something special, and she hasn't found enough. Bereiter is guaranteed top 5.
I feel that there is such a pattern for Anna Bereiter on run number 2. Not sure she's underperforming on the first runs. I think it's just she's absolutely flying on her second run. This is good from Schwarz, keeping her cool, and she kept it close, kept the pressure on. That was a mistake in the labyrinth. Caught so many races out today, 9 to 10. A little heavy through that labyrinth, but it really affects her.
Next up, Lisa Schulte. Bereiter then negotiates 1 one Austrian. Now another. Schulter with an advantage of 600ths over Bereiter. We know that can go in the blink of an eye, in the blink of a bad start. It's not a bad start from Schulter. Target 49.238. As you can see, she's 3,000s clear. She has lost time on Bereiter. Is this going to be another run that flips between red and green? I think it is, Mark.
It could be, and it was looking like it. 19,000ths of a second. Lisa Schulter, though, so much glass bumps onto curve 10. Just hangs on to 11 as well. Well, she went from 12, but she's back. She's got 100 to play with.
That's all she has now, 200. Has Schulter done enough? She may just have done enough. She's picked up at the bottom of the track. Yeah! She takes the lead. Schwarz punches the air. Bereiter finds one at least, too good. Schulter taking over, 3 to go now. Koch, Mark, Brabel next.
Well, it wasn't Lisa Schulter's best work, for sure. But pretty is not always fast. It wasn't a pretty looking run. She had a few mistakes, as we see on the screen, further up, but managed to carry her speed. And then the Kreisel. Look at that line. Just perfect sliding in the bottom section from Lisa Schulter.
Schulter from Bereiter, from Schwarz, from Taubitz. Bereiter still the quickest second run. Taubitz still second quickest. A case of if onlys from those first runs from both of them. Hannah Prock, our World Cup leader right now, by 2 points from Julia Taubitz. 4 further back is Britcher, who's going to drop this week for sure. Here's Prock. And I guess she needs to avoid crashing out or anything like that if this is indeed an Austrian slide-off. Prock, 3,000s inside Schulter. Remember, Schulter is now the target. Hannah Prock's teammate, twice winner in Winterberg this season. 1,000 is the advantage. So dramatic, so tight in this second run of the women's singles.
Hannah Prock did look a little twitchy on the start. But the great skids out of 11 into 12. Still back to 1,000s. But the next checkpoint's gone red.
It had to, didn't it? She's over a 10. You could almost see her shaking her head on the sled there. Prock with mistakes. That cost her. That cost her big style. Schulter leads. Prock is only 6. Bereiter in second. Schwarz in third. Bereiter guaranteed top 4. Marg and Brabel to come.
Hannah Prock kept it in touching distance all the way down to 10-11. That's where the mistake happens. Hannah Prock there out of 13, dropping down, coming up on the end. Drive 11, and then that skid. You know, if you just tap that wall, you can get away with it, get the sled going straight again. But as soon as that sled starts skidding, you start creating so much friction, and that is where the time bleeds away.
She's really disappointed. You can see 9th quickest in the second run. She could well be outside the top 10 at the second run. Still Anna Bereiter praying for a place on the podium, wishing no ill, of course, for Natalie Marg, who's got 500ths over our leader, Lisa Schulter. Natalie needed a big weekend here so far. She's produced it after that terrific second run. That's a little bit edgy there on the start. She's already lost half of that advantage, Natalie Marg. Schulter has set the standard. Can Marg match it here?
Well, it's looking good right now. 2,500. Natalie Marg, if an athlete of this caliber didn't make the Olympics due to her federation not sending her, it would be an absolute travesty. She's down to 100 for the second.
Now into those red numbers, back into the green. This is going to be so tight in the Kreisel. It's all about the Kreisel. Marg or Schulter, it's Schulter! Marg is second, Bereiter third. But remember, still 1 to go. Marg has guaranteed herself podium but it could have been so much more. Merle Frabel now with a chance to win it.
They say it takes 5 thousandths of a second to blink your eye. 2 thousandths of a second between silver and bronze for Natalie Marg. She put down a great show. This was that transition into 13, smooth. And then around Kreisel, just that little rise on the exit. It's probably the difference. And in that tough, emotional place of, yes, I've won a medal, but how close was I to one of a different color?
But you know, yes, I won a medal is kind of, yes, I'm going to the Olympics. So she's delighted with that. I feel a bit sorry for Variety, because she must have been thinking, one mistake and I'm on the podium, but now it's her teammate Frabel with a big advantage, nearly 2/10 after a track record. Can she do what Jonas Müller did and break the track record twice? Frabel was sick last week, but it's right back to wellness, to full health, and to quite brilliant sliding. What's the advantage for Frabel over Schulter? Still a quarter of a second. She maintains here, Frabel. She looks very, very good again.
This just requires the basics now from Frabel. This is where tactics come in. Late to 12, gets away with it. Late to 13 as well for Frabel, but 6 to land it.
She still extends her advantage. Frabel goes for gold in Oberhof and gets it. And how? And how? Nearly 3/10 from Merle Frabel. Fastest second run. It's not quite another track record. It wasn't far off. Just over 500ths outside that, but Merle Frabel just magnificent, and she wins in Oberhof.
What a time to peak for Merle Frabel. A week or two out from the Olympic Games, and just an absolute masterclass from the German.
And remember, the two athletes that won the Olympic test events in Milan Cortina have won here. Just saying. I know there's another week to go, but just saying. Peaking at the right time's a big part of sport. Are they both doing that? First Müller, now Frabel. Magical display from both of them.
Now to think her heart was in her mouth on that exit of 13. She just rose up on the exit, but kept her calm, kept her cool, kept her fans happy, and is now our new European champion.
Germany, Austria, Switzerland. Natalie Marg gets European Championship bronze. Lovely moment for her. So the Germans can celebrate a win, and they're off. Knew a song would come, never far away. Frabel wins from Schulter, from Marg, Bereiter just outside. In fourth, Dorothea Schwarz in fifth, and Taubitz surging from 9th to 6th. Ashley Farquharson eventually getting into that top 10. Hannah Prock cost herself badly, 11th fastest in the second run. So we continue our final results. The German fans can enjoy themselves. Another great day to come tomorrow as well. Well, second and third can sing and dance, and everyone can enjoy themselves. Just time for the presentation, and we'll hear too from our athletes. Merle Frabel wins the under-23 European Championship as well. Dorothea Schwarz gets the silver. Melina Fischer gets the bronze. Barbara Almayer just outside that. And 7th and 8th for our two GB athletes, Kaya Hatton and Taya Bayliss in that under-23 Women's Singles European Championship. Dylan Morse with a bronze for the men earlier. Merle Frabel, though, wins from Schulte and from Mark, and we will hear from our podium athletes in a few moments' time once we've reminded ourselves just how they did it. There's that final list. Singing continues here in Oberhof. And this, our 3-2-1. Natalie, Lisa, and the winner was Magnificent Merle.
Österreich, representing Austria, Lisa Schulte! Der erste Platz und neue Europameisterin. The first place, a new European champion aus Deutschland, representing Germany. Jetzt ist der Handschuh an.
Will she be top of that podium in Milan Cortina? There is every chance.
Die Blumen werden überreicht von Agnes Vogelis, der Präsidentin der FIL, und von Katja Wolf, der stellvertretenden Ministerpräsidentin und der Ministerin für Finanzen im Freistaat Thüringen.
Never in doubt, Natalie. There's the new European champion.
Glückliche Merle Frabel, Weltcup-Sieg, Europameisterin, U23-Europameisterin. Lisa Schulte ist auch total glücklich und Nathalie Mark hat Bronze bei den Europameisterschaften. Applaus Oberhof!
Just a great weekend, just a great event here in Oberhof. Worthy winner, Mark.
Definitely, and what a way to do it. Track record, almost a track record on the second run as well. And such tight racing, but when it came down to it, for Merle Frabel, I mean, winning by over a quarter of a second. On such a short track like Oberhof. Just a masterclass, and the timing before the Olympics as well. Just 2 weeks out from the big race, she put herself as the favourite, sure.
Well, he's whipping up the crowd still. They'll be back tomorrow for another great day. Men's and women's doubles, and then the team relay, which is going to be hilarious.
Congratulations, European champion here on home soil. How do you feel after this race?
Oh, incredible. It was so nice run, so nice race. And after last week, I wasn't there. I'm totally happy. Thank you. Jetzt brauche ich mal
All smiles then, Merle Frabel.
Lisa, congratulations. Podium here. First run was not really, didn't really seem happy, but what changed to the second run?
To be honest, it also wasn't great, but I think I could fix the little mistake that the late 11, but now it was still late, but a little bit better, and I think I just pushed through and was a little bit lucky as well. Thank you.
Very honest there from Lisa. Not too many athletes admit they were lucky, but good on her.
Natalie, congratulations to the podium here. An incredible run. Be honest, did you imagine this when you wake up today?
No, I had a quite hard week with the weather. I struggled a lot, and now it was such a nice race. And Oberhof, it always
one of the greatest races we can have, and I love to slide here. And the first one was okay, not that good, and the second was pretty high, so I was like just arriving and happy that I made it to the podium. Thank you.
So a delighted Natalie Marg, all smiles. A European Championship bronze for her. So great day. The singles won by arguably the two Olympic favourites, Jonas Müller and Merle Frabel. Their day in Oberhof. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully. We'll see you then.